What a time of the year. All-Star game tonight. By the way, we got a special guest on today for the All-Star game. Kurt Schilling will join us. That'll be at 4:30. We will talk All-Star game. And truly one of my favorite people of all time when it comes to talking sports is indeed Kurt Schilling. So we will talk to our friend and have his thoughts on tonight's All-Star game. The golden era continues. We shall see. By the way, 8 days until they're on the field, the Eagles. 7 days until they show up to training camp. Here is the list of teams that are showing up today for training camp. You ready? Ravens, Bills, Dolphins, the New York Gigantes, the 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks are all showing up today to start their quest for the 2025 Vince Lombardi Trophy. Incredible. Listen to all these teams that are showing up on July 15th. Right? July 15th. Again, Ravens, Bills, Dolphins, Giants, 49ers, and Seattle Seahawks. Eagles show up in 8 days. All-Star game tonight. The home run derby last night. Thought it was long and boring. I like my boy Junior Caminero. He ended up finishing second from the Rays. And I love that kid. I think that kid's one of the better teams that franchise has ever had. I like that guy. He ended up hitting 44 of them. I was rooting for the kid. And, yeah, you know, the home run derby, I'm not really big on it. I never thought I'd ever say this. Bring Berman back. Holy shit, McAfee, that's not his game. Bring Chris Berman back for that. I never thought I would miss this. I never thought I'd miss it. Okay? I never in a million years thought that I would miss it. But I did. And I do. So do me a favor. Please hit the like button. All super chats go to the top. We thank you guys very much. And what a day. Absolutely. I love look at my boy Kyle. Kyle, I can't thank you enough. You're one of the greatest viewers to our program, and we look forward to seeing you and many of you each and every single day. But I can't thank you enough, bro, for starting our show off every single day with super chats. Helps keep the show going, and we so appreciate it, and we thank you very much. Seals, can you talk about Dabo Swinney, what he knows on Makuba? He played for him at Clemson. It's a great call. I didn't think of that. Absolutely, I will. Makuba at Clemson. By the way, just for the record, why do you think Makuba transferred from Clemson to Texas? Todd, why do you think they transferred? What would be the reason that Andrew Makuba transferred from Clemson, in your opinion? What would be that reasoning? Clemson's a hell of a program. Clemson's one of the best programs in the country. You can make the argument that Clemson's one of the top 5 programs in the country. And by the way, they have a shitload of money. They got a thing called PTI. And it's this club that people donate a shitload of money. Okay? As usual, LJ's completely fucking wrong. The money at Texas is more when it comes to payouts in the Southeastern Conference. So you get an opportunity to play at Texas where you get more money because you play in the Southeastern Conference. Remember, you're paid on attendance also. So your payout is more because, one, you're with the Longhorns. Secondly, you're in the Southeastern Conference. So you make more money. And the competition is better. You're playing Wake Forest and Duke. And in the Southeastern Conference, you're playing Texas A&M, and you're playing Tennessee in those games. Just better competition, which means more exposure, which means more opportunities for you to be able to be paid. That's why he left Clemson. Clemson, like I said, Clemson's a great program. That is one of the premier programs in the country. Okay? I mean, absolutely. Let's see what he got here. ESPN linebacker rankings has Zach Bond third. That doesn't shock me. Zach Bond, as of right now, is a one-year wonder. No slight. Get this. How many people think that that's a bad thing? I think that's a great thing. They have Zach Bond ranked third. That's a tremendous accomplishment. And I absolutely like that. Hey, Texas boy, are you calling that a rip? Or are you saying that's too high? Are you saying that's too high? I think that's a great thing. I think you're saying it's too high. Now, here's what I would say. Well, Zach Bond's never started in his entire life as an NFL linebacker. The only reason I don't put him in the Jaden Daniels crew is because he's been in the league 3, 4, 5 years. So he knows the pitfalls of the NFL. But that was a first-year starter. If you're going to talk shit on Jaden Daniels taking a step back, how do you know Zach Bond doesn't? Only probably because he's been a pro longer. That would be the only way. Is because he's been a pro longer. I mean, he's just been in the league longer. But he hasn't started. Last year was his first start. And the reason why I'm not going to call him a one-year wonder is because he played great from week 1 to week 20. He was great every week. He was just a fabulous football player every single week. Could we make the argument that he and Barkley were the most consistent ball players on that football field for the Eagles a year ago? Right? The most consistent player? Could put Lane in there. Lane's always in that conversation. Right? That Zach Bond and Barkley were the two most consistent football players on the field for the Eagles a year ago. And what has to be one of the greatest constructed rosters of all time. Those guys, Gardner Johnson, I didn't think that, Steve. I thought Gardner Johnson had a bumpy first half. And I thought he picked his game up and was really great the second half of the season. I thought after they came out of the bye, I thought he got better. After the bye, guys hit the like button. I thought he got better. After the bye. I want to make some comments here. And I've heard a lot of people talking about that Jeremy Fowler list that came out. I want to make a point to you about quarterbacks that you would build your football team around. Let's do this. If you had to pick from scratch 10 quarterbacks to build your football team from ground floor and nobody else, but you had to pick 10 quarterbacks from the ground floor, who would you take? Again, you're starting from zero. Here would be my 10. If I was starting like a NASCAR, and I was starting and I had to hire one quarterback and then build my team around, I would do this. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. You know, I'm going to put Stafford there. I don't know if I would put him in that top 10 because he's older, but he's still a guy who's going to move the sticks. And I would put Mayfield. Those would be the 10 dudes that I would draft number 1 overall and build my football team around them. Here's why. It takes forever to build an O-line. I need to have a guy who's accurate and mobile. And a guy who can, if you lose people in the offensive line, I've got to have a guy who's proficient in the passing game. And today's NFL, those are the guys that are proficient in the passing game. Teams don't build offenses today around a running game, do they? You don't even. You fell into it. You didn't hire Saquon Barkley with $51 million and $150 million in a quarterback and 2 receivers and try to tell me you built the running team. You did not. The money speaks to how you guys act. And again, those would be the quarterbacks that I would probably take on building my football team from scratch. Now, I want to make this very clear here. Okay? Do I think that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson could go into Philadelphia and be superstars the same way that Jalen Hurts runs that offense? I don't. I do not believe that. There are 32 systems in this league. Okay? 32. Okay? Well, then get this. See, this guy is a notoriously awful take guy. So he tells you you've been a ball-controlled team for years. You've been a really great O-line for years. Then why are you spending $51 million in wide receivers? If you're ball controlled, and the lowest paid guy is the skilled guy in the huddle is the running back. The lowest paid guy is the running back, outside of Goddard. When it comes to your top 2 receivers and your quarterback. And shit, Goddard makes what now? 15 million? 12? Everyone says Hurts has been disrespectful, except you and John. These people say play at a high level in the NFL. Hey, I'll say this to you, Lewis. It's no disrespect. A lot of respect. People have a lot of respect for Hurts. It's not disrespect. There's no disrespect at all. I don't give a shit about Jalen Hurts. Like him or not, I don't care. I don't know. How could I give a shit? I'm telling you what, by the way, I've now come to the conclusion, I really don't care what you say. Because I know what the league thinks. They have great respect for the guy. At the end of the day, they're not going to take Jalen Hurts over Justin Herbert to build a football team. That's just not going to happen. And people will go, Stills, I saw him in a playoff game. Hey, I saw John Elway in 3 Super Bowls get absolutely annihilated. I saw John Elway have horrible playoff games. How old is Justin Herbert? I know Justin very well, actually. I posted a couple pictures of me and him. And I met him when he was his senior year, I believe, at Oregon. And we became friends when he was at Oregon. And he was playing for Mario Cristobal. Okay? I mean, nobody on the planet is going to, but hey, it's not a rip. It's just not a rip. Justin Herbert was Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford was 0-4. He was 0-4 in Detroit. 0-4. He didn't have a very good football team, and he had Megatron. He had Megatron, and he couldn't move the sticks. Why? Because he didn't have a good football team. This all comes down to who has a better football team. Here, let me give you a for instance here. Okay? And hopefully this clears it up. You guys think Brock Purdy sucks, don't you? Do you guys think that I'm going to use your own narrative against you. How many folks in here believe Brock Purdy's not a very good quarterback? or he's an average quarterback at best. How many people in here believe that Brock Purdy's an average quarterback? And he's what do you call it? A system quarterback. Okay, here's average. Steve says average. Average quarterback. Average quarterback. This is fucking wonderful. Keep coming. Okay? Yes, average. Top 12. Okay, what else? One more. How many people believe that Brock Purdy's an average quarterback? How many? Purdy can't throw in weather games. Mediocre. Okay? Hey, well then, Jessica, how did a mediocre quarterback get a team to a Super Bowl? He sucks. How did a guy who sucks get a team to a Super Bowl? Because why? He had a great team around him? I see. Okay. How did he wipe the floor with you at Lincoln Financial? He's average. He sucks. He's no good. How did he get to a Super Bowl then? Had the lead going into the fourth quarter, too. By the way, outplayed Mahomes in that defeat also. How did a mediocre to, as you guys say, suck quarterback carry a team to a Super Bowl? Can a sorry-ass quarterback carry a team to a Super Bowl? You just said it. Or be part of it? Okay? Okay? So that guy owns the... Okay, so according to Twiz, he sucks. How did a quarterback who sucks help a team get to a Super Bowl? If the team around him is great and he sucks, you can get to a Super Bowl with a suck-ass quarterback, can't you? According to you guys. You just said it. He's average to suck. Hey, Jalen Hurts is not the best player in his team. He's not the best player in the huddle. Plug-and-play quarterback. How did a plug-and-play quarterback take a team to a Super Bowl? Jimmy Garoppolo. He sucks too, right? So two quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan has had, in your eyes, suck. But two different guys took a team to a Super Bowl, right? How? So an average to suck-ass quarterback can still be part of a team that helps them get to a Super Bowl. Okay? Right? Is that right? I mean, you defeat your own conversation about Hurts. Jalen wasn't shit last year. Shit, John McMullen says it was not a very good year for him. Got to the game, played great. Wonderful. They needed it because they stopped the run. Okay? More and more obvious, you know jack about quarterbacking. I take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. Now that I know I'm doing it right, and now I know I'm doing a wonderful job. If M. Reyes is saying that, I know for a fact that I'm making the right points here. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the super chat. I thank you very much for the compliment. Coming from you, that's high praise. Massive high praise. Well, wait a minute here. He can't answer it. He just got through telling me Brock Purdy's a sorry-ass guy, and a sorry-ass quarterback took a team to the Super Bowl. Nobody's elite. Brock Purdy, in your eyes, is not an elite. How many people in here believe that Brock Purdy's an elite quarterback? Purdy got exposed. No, he didn't. Yeah, he got exposed when his team got hurt. So Hurts. Hurts got exposed in that playoff game against the Bucs when he got annihilated and didn't want to get off the bus. I mean, he's not elite. I know he's not. Purdy is smart and accurate like golf. Not the biggest arm. I never said he sucks. Learn to read. Eat a dick. Hurts made the Super Bowl without Barkley. Purdy can't make a Super Bowl without McCaffrey. You can't win one without McCaffrey. Or, excuse me, Barkley either. Not elite, but very good. Oh, now he's good. Purdy's a good quarterback now. Oh, I see how this works. Because you know why? I showed you that two quarterbacks that you call bad and mediocre and below average took two teams to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. You don't have to be an elite quarterback to take a team to a Super Bowl. You have to have an elite team. You end the argument right now with Jimmy Garoppolo and Purdy. Those guys are not elite quarterbacks. How'd they get there? Answer me this. How'd they get to a Super Bowl if they sucked? How'd they get there? I'm not talking about Jalen Hurts. I'm talking about two quarterbacks you say suck. How did they get there? Will somebody answer? Or do you not want to? Because the further this conversation goes, the more I'll show you about your stupid takes on these other quarterbacks are so flawed, it's obnoxious. By the way, this is really not a conversation about Jalen. This is not a conversation about Jalen Hurts. Oh, okay, wait. Brock Purdy had an elite defense. Okay, an elite defense. He sure did. Elite defense. I agree. I think the 49ers, so did Garoppolo, they had an elite defense. Okay, absolutely. Hey, douchebag, no one's talking about Jalen Hurts. Burrow's elite. Well, his team's not. I'm not bringing him up. I'm talking about Justin fucking Herbert and Brock Purdy. Nobody's bringing your boy up. Tell me, how in the world did two sorry-ass quarterbacks who you guys think stink get teams to a Super Bowl if they're not elite? So are you trying to tell me you believe that Justin Herbert, you think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Justin Herbert? You just said he sucked. Or was it the fact that he was on an elite defense and had an elite team? So team outweighs talent. I'd rather have an elite team than an elite quarterback. I just showed you I could get to a Super Bowl with, what did you guys say? A sorry-ass quarterback. You defeat your conversation with your own bullshit. It's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful. An elite football team like the 49ers with Garoppolo and Brock Purdy got to a Super Bowl. You think these guys are garbage? Okay, that's fair, whatever you want to think of them. How'd they get there? They had elite rosters. Okay, well, wait a minute. He said this is a false narrative show. Again, he's fucking lying. I asked you a question, what you thought of Brock Purdy. And I wrote him down, average, below average, suck ass. And then I said, how the fuck did a suck ass and a below average quarterback take a team to a Super Bowl? Two different guys. How is that a narrative? Those are facts. Based on what you guys told me, it's about the team. Whatever, Emrayes, your days are over. Hey, end of the day, you just called out your own football team. I could get to a Super Bowl with a sorry ass quarterback if I have a great roster. Is that right? Let me ask you again. According to you, you can get to a Super Bowl with a sorry ass quarterback, correct? Yes or no? You just got through fucking telling me Purdy sucks. I bet he's pissed at Washington. He wants his money. This guy just got through saying that Brock Purdy's no good and he sucks. Now he's saying you can't get there with a sorry-ass quarterback. Talk about bullshit narratives. Hurts is made to look good with who's around him. He doesn't make them better. They, in fact, let him play the way he wants to play the game. Good, not elite. But wait a minute. I'm not really even making a conversation. I appreciate the super. I'm not really making this conversation about Jalen. I'm making it more about how you see the Eagles and how they win, more so than the quarterback. I can point out in the last 6 years, 2 shitty quarterbacks in your eyes. I don't think they were shitty. Below average. Well, how did a below average quarterback take a team and how about this? How did he help get a team to a Super Bowl? By the way, the year they went, he threw for 4,200 yards. Okay? He threw for 42. How did it get? You're the ones making this about Jalen. I'm not even talking about Jalen Hurts. You're the ones that are talking about him. Who the fuck is talking about Jalen Hurts? I'm talking about Brock Purdy and Justin Herbert. What are you talking about? You're making shit up like Emrayes. I'm not bringing him up at all. How am I bringing him up? I said, how does a guy like a sorry ass, according to you, quarterback like Brock Purdy, who many people in Philadelphia thinks below average and overrated, how did he take that team to a Super Bowl then? Even though Hurts and Purdy's style of play is different, they have the same type of team, great supporting cast and running game and defense. Don't say that out loud because that will destroy people in Philly's feelings. Don't say that out loud. Kyle, I appreciate that, but don't say that out loud. Okay? Because that's the reality. Both guys are great in what they do. And if they don't have full talent around them, they all get exposed. Very few quarterbacks in the NFL can carry a football team. The only guy in the league, really, that I've seen so far, there's been really 2. Brady and Mahomes in the last 25 years that can do that. Somebody goes like this. By the way, I heard Jeff Kerr say, Montana needed Rice. That's not true. He did not need Jerry Rice. The first Super Bowl, he did not have Roger Craig. He did not have Jerry Rice. He did not have the tight end. He didn't have John Taylor. He didn't have any of those guys. He had dudes named Freddie Solomon and Wendell Tyler. It wasn't a great offense. He just was a spectacular player. On that 1981 Super Bowl championship team that beat the Bengals in Detroit, none of those ball players were on that team. He made those players. He made them. No. You know what makes them overrated, Corey? The money they get. You think if you pay a guy $50 million, he's elite. He's not. That don't make you an elite player. Look at that. Okay? Dwight Clark's elite. Yeah, okay. It's legit. He was a good ball player. He wasn't fucking great. He was a really good player. God rest his soul. Foles won a Super Bowl. It was cool and fine. All this extra talk didn't happen. Hurts, black quarterback, all that. See this right here? These are the people that have low-hanging foreheads and have low thought processes because, you know why? They're stupid. They're mentally ill. There's an illness with people like this. Who gives a fuck what the color is, guy? What a dick. Honestly. Those are, and by the way, those comments today, whatever. Nobody's hiding under their desk anymore. He's big on it. God, stupidity at its finest. What a jerk. About race. It's about style of play, douchebag. I mean, really. Well, get this. If my job depended on this, okay, and I'm a GM in the NFL, you see that dickhead, what he'll make you think? You just look up and you go like this. Well, this guy's black and this guy's white. Let me play the white guy, even though he's not as good. Yeah, that's what they do. That's why almost every single high-paid player in the league's black. Whatever, guy. Big Sills, how you feeling about the top quarterback list? I think it's about right. I think Hurts is too low. I think he's 5. I'd put Jalen 5. He's not, what was it, 8? Not putting him there. Bro, I apologize. Forgive me. My bad. I can't read, as M. Reyes says. Okay, I apologize. Thank you, bro. Yeah, because every time I see the race stuff, it makes me crazy. Corey, all good, brother. Love you, man. Absolutely. Bow to my forgiveness. Okay? Sills doesn't like brother quarterbacks. It's a fact. No comment. Jalen just sped up the clock on all them stiffs. No, he didn't. If that's the case, why are they still getting paid? That's not the truth. What he did was he sped up the clock on all those organizations. That's what he did. Buffalo has to do more. Okay? Montana's first Super Bowl, the Niners had 3 takeaways in the first half. It was the defense, not Montana. I forgot who won the MVP in that game. Let me think. Oh, yeah, Joe. Hurts belongs above those guys just because of what he adds to the run game. If we're talking pure passing, it's different. And this is a tremendous take. Because of the way they're built. JS member Curtis, is that what you're saying? Because of the way they're built? But again, I'm talking about building a team from scratch. All right? Talking about a second team from scratch. Okay? Yeah, 1981, guy. You want to put things in context? People ran the ball more in the early 80s. It wasn't a high-powered 45 attack offensive league. Very few people were throwing for 4,000 yards in 1981. Get a fucking reality check on what the league was back then. 58% completion percentage was considered good back in the day. Know some context. Have it. You don't. Seals forgot who won the Super Bowl. I didn't forget anything. Congratulations. Philadelphia Eagles did. 49ers O-line is ass. Hurts couldn't survive behind this 49er O-line. Not last year's. You're getting Trent back. I think they're a top 10 line, though. If I had to put the top offensive lineman here, PFF just came out with the top 10 offensive linemen. And, of course, Tristan Wirfs, number one. Here's why your boy Milata doesn't get first-team All-Pros. Very simple. The first-team All-Pro will be Tristan Wirfs. Now, this year, Jordan may get it because I think Wirfs is going to be on the IR, which means I think he's going to be on the PUP list. So maybe Milata will have a chance. Plus, I'll say this. I think, how many games did Jordan Milata miss a year ago? How many games did he miss? Was it 2? Did he miss 2 or 3 games? Okay? Yeah, funny. How many games did Jordan Milata miss last year? 3 or 4? Probably cost him a Pro Bowl spot. I thought it was 2. Still probably cost him a Pro Bowl spot. It's very competitive at left tackle. They just don't pick left tackles and put the 2 tackles there. I told you why Lane has more than Jordan. There's more competition at left tackle than right tackle. Not that Lane's bad. He absolutely is not. Here's the top 10 offensive linemen. OTs in the league. Tristan Wirfs, Penei Sewell. You've got Lane Johnson, Trent Williams, and Jordan Milata's 5th. Jordan Milata is not winning the All-Pro spot unless one of those guys gets hurt. And because he's a 7th rounder, you're going to play that's going to play into it as well. Those guys all ahead of him will have first crack at being named left tackle. Who's better, Sills? I think Milata is right there with Sewell. I think Wirfs is the best left tackle in football. But I think Milata, Sewell, and Wirfs, I think if you went like this to me, Sills, I'm going to take Tristan Wirfs. Okay, I'll take Jordan. And I'm good with that. That's how close it is. And Reyes, he missed 5 games. That clearly cost him the All-Pro spot. That's a shitload of games in a very competitive position. Hey, right guard, not very competitive. Right tackle, competitive. Center, pretty competitive. Left tackle, insane competitive. How would you attack the Bucs with Wirfs' injury now? Oh, I would bring pressure right on that guy and that bum, Charlie Heck, or whatever his name is, and I would rush the passer right over that guy. I think you're going to get home with 4 dudes. I think the Bucs, if Tristan Wirfs is not in that game, I think the Bucs are in trouble. Big time. They were already in trouble prior to going into that game because I don't think their defense is very good. Levante David is past his prime, and Antonio Winfield was not very good a year ago. He was not very good. And they just paid him. That Bucs defense is going to have to show me more. Okay? And by the way, we do a show in Tampa, and I say the same shit. I don't believe they're that good on defense. You're going to have to step your game up. Sills, they were great against the Eagles. Well, you know the one thing that the Eagles were great last year at? Being completely consistent. After the bye, all the way through to the Super Bowl, they were the most consistent defense and one of the most consistent defenses I have ever seen. You can't go like this, peaks and valleys, and call yourself good. You just can't. Get this. That's what people are saying in Tampa. Bucs are going to run the ball. With who? Charlie fucking Heck? You can't cover bad football. It gets exposed. Vic knows the personnel. You going from Tristan Wirfs is like jumping off a cliff. You were not prepared. Vic's going to sniff that shit out. Hey, he was their best football player, including Mike Evans. Jahad Campbell will have the same effect this year as who? Tristan Wirfs? I doubt that very seriously. They are good. Here's the list of the OTs. Wirfs, Sewell, Lane, Trent Williams, Mulatto. Rashawn Slater, Chargers. By the way, this is the guy that Xander says that is a turnstile. Laremy Tunsil, 7th. The guy from Buffalo, Deion Dawkins, he's a pretty good ball player. Christian Darshaw, I think his name is, in Minnesota's pretty good. And Andrew Thomas in New York Giants is a really good football player. He's not better than Mulatto, though. Okay, he's not. But Laremy Tunsil is the 7th best rated offensive tackle in pro football. That's what PFF has going into this year. And you don't think they upgraded at left tackle from the garbage hole they had last year there? Okay. I mean, I don't even know who they had there last year. Yeah, that kid from Buffalo's pretty good. He still couldn't start in Philly, though. I'll take Mulatto over him for sure. He's a good football player. He is. So again, I want to go back to my topic here. And I want to close this up here. By the way, Xander at 3:30. Kurt Schilling will join us. We'll honor the All-Star game tonight. That'll be at 4:30. So when you guys say Justin Herbert's not a good player, okay, well, that's not true. Justin Herbert has been in an organization that has been up and down for 45 years. Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers never made it to a Super Bowl. Why? Bad management. They've had some good teams. I mean, remember something. They got to a Super Bowl with a bum quarterback. Not those guys. Or they'll have a poor hire in Brandon Staley. Who was the head coach of the Chargers when they went to the playoffs and he had those picks? Brandon Staley? Brandon Staley, who arguably is the worst coach I've ever seen. Brandon Staley. Yeah, Stan Humphries. Thank you, Kyle. They went to the Super Bowl with Stan Humphries. Stan Humphries is better than Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers? I don't think so. They had a better roster. This comes down to roster. So now we bring Hurts into this. So what's the difference with Brock Purdy's doing or what Jalen Hurts is doing? You think that guy's great and you think that guy sucks, but they both got the Super Bowls. Right? How did Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy get to those games if they're so bad? It's simple. Rosters. So when you have criticism of a quarterback, you've got to put context to it. I'm not talking about winning. I'm talking about two sorry-ass quarterbacks, according to you, taking teams to a Super Bowl. Dude, You called them sorry-ass quarterbacks. Not very good. How'd they get there? How'd they get there? I'm not talking about winning. I'm asking you, how did they get there if they're so bad? Anybody? It's very simple. It puts your conversation to bed when you're talking about other quarterbacks. I'm not talking about that. How did a guy who struggles in wet weather, this is a 49er guy, and has got flaws, how did he get there? Okay, I'll take Senor. It's a team sport, Sills. Ah, really? How did Mahomes get to Super Bowls? Because of team. Okay? And I happen to agree with Xander. If you're going to try to tell me that that roster that he beat the 49ers with Juju Smith-Schuster, and who the fuck else was on that team outside of Travis Kelce? There's not good players on that skilled players. Name me one that was on that team that beat the 49ers outside of Travis Kelce. Who? Pacheco, they got in the 7th round? Juju Smith-Schuster? Who? Who was a good ball player? Your Washington pick to win the NFC East not looking good. McLaren is wanting to be traded. So Debo will be wide receiver 1. I'd hang in there right now, James. I'd hang in there. Okay? I'd hang in there. Because Washington, what I think they would do is if they lose McLaurin, I think they'd go down to Miami, and I think they'd go get Tyreek Hill, who wants out of Miami. These guys are all movable pieces. Every single top wide receiver, that's one of the top wide receivers in the game, has been on multiple teams, except for Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, who's now entering into his 2nd contract with Cincinnati. Almost all of them have been traded 1 or 2 or 3 times. So wide receivers, in my opinion, they're the most mobile position in the league that pays the most. By the way, he's right. I didn't hear a request for a trade either. That's not true. Okay? Probably true. It is Mahomes and everybody else. Remember this. The gap between 1 and 2 is so great. The gap between 1 and 2 when Brady was playing was so slim because people always were under the assumption that Manning was better. I never thought Peyton Manning was ever better. And as you want to know why, Big Sills will always, when M. Reyes throws the takeout, anybody that says that's been to 8 straight AFC championship games and 5 Super Bowls and winning 3 of them, it sucks. I know I'm doing the right thing. Okay, hold on. Product of the team around him. Really? I'll have to, excuse me, but that same team that was around him when Alex Smith was there, what happened when he got put in? They won a Super Bowl. He knows nothing about football. Nothing. 0. His takes are terrible. He knows nothing about the game. There's not one thing he's ever said that I would agree with. So I know I'm doing it right. How about this? Get this. Mahomes without Andy Reid, he's Trevor Lawrence. Really? What's Andy Reid without Patrick Mahomes? Let's see. Throwing up, flopping around Donovan McNabb. Really? Well, what's Bill Walsh without Joe Montana? What's Chuck Noll without Bradshaw? What's Bill Belichick without Tom Brady. That's not a rip. Those are facts. What's Michael Jordan without Phil Jackson? Can you tell me, RC? What is Michael Jordan without Phil Jackson? Can you tell me? Scoring champ and massive losses in the playoffs. What did Jordan win without Phil? Help me out there. The greatest player in the history of the NBA. What was Michael Jordan without Phil? What was Michael Jordan without Phil? No, a great player who couldn't win the big one. I mean, now there's a take I can buy. There's a take I can buy. Right? I'll take that one. Space Jam. I do dig Space Jam. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. Get this. Now, Phil needed MJ. So wait a minute. What was Shaq and Kobe before Phil showed up? Help me out. What did Del Harris bring to Shaq and Kobe? Oh, wait. You had Del Harris and you had Rudy Tomjanovich. What did those guys? I mean, what happened when Phil showed up? Didn't they go on a three-peat? Help me out there. You had Rudy T and you had Del Harris. I mean, so wait a minute. Well, wait, let me ask you then. So Sills Phil needed MJ as much as, yes, that's the point. Absolutely. Great coaching. Why LeBron James is 4-6 in postseason play? He's never had a coach. Making a case for the GOAT? No. There's nothing wrong with having. Bill Russell had Red Auerbach. I mean, every true great player has a great coach with him. History repeats itself in every sport. Glenn Sather up in Edmonton with Messier and Gretzky. Do you think that's by coincidence? That you had the best coach, one of the greatest hockey coaches of all time in Glenn Sather? I mean, Sills could have coached MJ and won an NBA title. Really? How come MJ never did without Phil? What happened when he had Doug Collins and Kevin Lockery? What happened when he had those guys? Stick to the topic. Thanks, Leon. I'll get there, kid. Jordan is the GOAT. Not even close. What did Jordan do without Phil? Jordan played 14 years. What did he do before Phil showed up? They would get swept by the Celtics or crushed by the Pistons. He needed a great coach. The Bulls were on the way to a title for the Pistons and the Celtics. They weren't anybody special. They had a special player. Everyone goes, Jordan shot 63 points in the Garden. They got swept in that series. They got swept in that Boston series. You know that? They were swept. Phil didn't win when MJ retired. Went to play basketball. You answered that. Okay, wait a minute. When MJ retired, Phil went to Los Angeles and won 3 more. I did answer that one. They begged him out of retirement. because Del Harris and Rudy T couldn't get it done in Los Angeles, and Rudy T went away. They hired Phil, and they won 3 in a row. End of story. Seals, can you get LeBeau on the show? I don't really know him. Dick LeBeau, you're talking? I'm not even. Is he alive? He played with my uncle. He played with my uncle. Phil had Shaq and Kobe. What did they do without Phil? Bro, you're missing the point. They were together with Del Harris and Rudy T. What did they do? They didn't win NBA championships. What did they do? Actually, Tex Winter made the triangle. Phil wasn't a coach of the Knicks, dickhead. He was the president of basketball operations. What a douchebag. This guy has no knowledge of Phil. You have no knowledge. You have no knowledge. Zero. It's like fighting with a 6-year-old. That's my fault. Rolling back, like Leon says. So it's hard for you guys to come to grips that a player like Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, who you guys say blow, and is not very good. And it's not very good. Leon doesn't want to answer it either. Well, how did those guys get to Super Bowl games? How did those guys win NFC championships if they're so bad? Well, maybe it's because they have a hell of a roster and a really good organization. Right? Yeah, but you said he sucks. Question is, I'm not debating it. How did a sorry-ass quarterback go to a Super Bowl? How did a sorry-ass quarterback take a team? Hey, 2 sorry-ass quarterbacks take 2 teams to Super Bowls. Shit, Jalen's on a great team. Great coaching. So now all of a sudden, this guy will flip-flop and tell you Kyle Shanahan's a great coach now, when this is the same guy who'll tell you he's overrated. Oh, man. Great coaching. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Get this. Stop asking a stupid question. All teams make it because they have great teams. Well, there we have it. Jalen Hurts was on a great football team. Doesn't have to be great. You have to be on a great team. If you were to rank Jalen Hurts in the Eagle huddle right now, he'd be 7th out of 11 guys. Let's see. Barkley, AJ, Lane, Mulata, Landon, Hurts. He's 6th. He's the 6th best player in his own huddle. Did I put Lane in? Yeah. He's the 6th best player in his own huddle. So he is on a good football team. Okay. There answers the whole conversation about quarterback rankings. You rank quarterbacks based on what the teams have around them and their skill set. And you go from there. What do you think that guy can bring to a team? How good is he? How good's the team around him? How far does he carry that team? Joe Burrow is arguably the best player in the sport at that position. Why? He takes a shitty organization a shitty management group, an average to below average head coach, wins 9 games, has won an AFC championship, and he takes them further than they've been twice in their entire existence because they're so bad. He has no shot at getting back to that game. He has none. There's no way he gets back to that game. And as I pointed to you about the Buffalo Bills have been marginal at player acquisition and player personnel since Allen got there. They've been dumping salaries the last 3 years. They still got more to go. Look at their cap. They're not improving the roster. The only way the Bills are going to improve a roster is through the draft. Plain and simple. And they're marginal at best. They're marginal. Get this. You may be right. That's not Josh Allen's fault. You just said a sorry-ass quarterback took a team to a Super Bowl because he had a great roster. Your own arguments that you use to help your boy, now you've actually showed why that argument's flawed. 2 quarterbacks who you think stink, and Purdy and Garoppolo took teams to a Super Bowl. They're nowhere near anywhere when it comes to the talent level of these other guys. Well, as Senor says, you have to be on a good football team. Plain and simple. So when you go like this, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts, any pro personnel guy would say that that's true. You guys would point out 5 picks. Okay. 5 picks. That one game doesn't make Hurts better than him because he won the Super Bowl. It's a flawed conversation. Well, still, he had better big moment games. Got a better team around him. Is that it's reality? You just said it. I didn't say it. You did. How long until Allen requests a trade? I don't believe he ever will. I think he wants to sit in Buffalo. I think he likes the fan base. I think he wants to try to win it up there. I just think, look at a shitty coach you got. I think Brandon Beane, or GM, I think he's very average. Okay? Organizations all go for the participation trophies. That's got nothing to do with Josh Allen. You just fucking said it, all of you. All of you said it. You just all exposed yourself. 2 below average quarterbacks took a team to a Super Bowl because of the roster. Okay? Apply it in Philly. He's not below average. I don't believe that. You don't have to be great to take a team to a Super Bowl. You just fucking said it. And Senor just said, because it's a great team. Okay. Hurts is the 6th best guy in his own huddle. Nowhere in the NFL that has one of these elite guys is that true over the quarterback. Nowhere. Not even in Baltimore. He's better than Derrick Henry. Hurts is not even the best guy on his team. Got a great football team. And you're like this. Well, Sills, those guys are the elite guys. Wait a minute. Lane and Malata are not considered the best tackles in the sport. Only in Philly are they. Hey, there's another one. I wouldn't consider Joe Flacco. He's not a bad ball player, though. He's not. He's not a bad ball player. He's had a really good career. Comeback player of the year, Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl win. He's done a lot of shit in his career. Still, funny story. I got to watch Drake May and O'Marion Hampton at UNC 50-yard line seats through my cousin, who's a UNC alum. Wow, that's really cool. I like Drake May. I think Drake May's going to do a lot of good things. I really do. With a minute on the clock to win a game, Hurts or Allen, what's the team? Is Barkley on the team? I'll take the Eagles. I'm not taking Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen in anything. I'm taking the Eagles over the Bills with 2 minutes left. Absolutely. It's a stupid take. Hurts is not a pure passer, but a smart player. Absolutely true. We need to judge him differently. Okay. I want to make Angelo. Let me say this one more time to you. I don't believe any of these other quarterbacks can go into how that team is built today and win the way he does up there. I think they have tailor-made that offense. He is a system quarterback in Philadelphia. However, when people hear the word system, they think that is plug and play. I don't think he can plug and play anybody in Philly. I just don't. There's 32 customized systems for 30. Get this. You know what's funny when people say he's a system quarterback? Every single quarterback, no matter who you are from 1920 to today, has a skill set that's strong and a skill that's weak. And you know what you do? You manage around the weakest, not the strongest. What does my quarterback not do? What is the one thing he doesn't do exceptionally well? What does he do that's not great? What was the flaw with Brady? Does anybody know what the flaw with Brady was? I'll write it down here. What was the flaw? There's one flaw Tom Brady had in his game. It was a blind spot that he had in his game. Okay? Mobility wasn't a flaw in his game because he never really utilized, and they were never really a motion type quarterback rolling out. So they really, get this, think about that. This is what, and this is more to it. Brady had a blind spot with pressure in the middle because he wasn't an athlete. He doesn't have the team speed to get away from interior pressure. So if you knew how to rush him, that's what Spags did in those Super Bowls. There were interior pressure. And if you remember right, how'd you get the strip sack? The strip sack was created by internal pressure. That's how he got around the horn on him, slapped his arm. Brady was not very good, okay, with that. He just wasn't. But they managed away from it. How did they do that? Dump offs, dump offs, dump offs, dump offs, dump offs. Why do you think Brady was always in the check down mode? Internal pressure. Slowed it up. Slowed it up. What's the point of going internal pressure when he's going check down every play? Became like a rhythm. And then what would happen? They'd throw a seam on you because they stopped bringing the internal pressure. Brady stepped doing it. And Brady would throw across the middle of the field, and Brady would do those seam passes. And when you stop doing the internal pressure, that's when he went to the numbers. Just listen to him talking to Belichick in some of those clips. It's what they're saying. Leon called it a noodle arm. Okay, well, Leon, that noodle arm, they knew he didn't have the strongest arm, so what did they do? Check down, check down, seam pass. They weren't a high volume plus 25-yard team. Why do you think Brady had 700 attempts one year? Because they were all check down 5-yard, 10-yard passes. It stopped the internal pressure. You couldn't get to him. You never really saw Brady in the pocket sitting back there. When you played against him in the Super Bowl in 17, 18, Brady was holding onto the ball too long. Why? Because the pressure internally was getting there. They were getting home. And he was getting hit. Then he started having to play in a back and forth. Brady took big hits in that game. Sills, what do you think of the New York Giants this year? Jackson Dart might be their new improved Eli Manning, plus Russell Wilson with neighbors. Defense improved. The front's definitely great. I think their linebacker play is probably the third best in the division. Their corners are suspect. Their secondary safeties, I don't know. They're really good in that front. And Dexter Lawrence is sensational. They've got one good tackle. He's fantastic, their left tackle. I think they're suspect in that offensive line. I mean, if you're going to put Jackson Dart in there and you're going to start him, you better have an intermediate passing game, and your back better be good at check downs and catching passes out of the backfield. Because I don't think that offensive line can stop the pressure of the Eagles. If I'm the Eagles, I attack the New York Giants by rushing the passer. And I don't have to bring pressure. I don't think the quarterbacks, I think but plus if that's me, I'm keeping Neighbors underneath. I'm not letting him get deep on me. You play two-eye safety. You play zone defense. That guy's not getting past you. I think the Giants are the Giants. 5-7 wins, maybe 5-7 wins. I just don't see them being. I think the back is okay. They need another wideout on the other side. They surely need a tight end. Okay, I just don't see it. And again, somebody asked me yesterday about the Cowboys. Well, Cowboys need play action. There's another example of what we talked about with Justin Herbert and Brock Purdy. There's another thing. If you've got Dak Prescott right now, how would you build the Cowboys? How would you build the Dallas Cowboys? You know how I would? Get two fabulous wide receivers, which they did. I would definitely try to improve my offensive line like the Bears did. Sitting around waiting for Tyler Guyton or some of these other dudes to pan out this Booker kid and thinking that is going to be the recipe to protect Dak Prescott this year with no running game is absurd thinking. How the fuck is that going to help the Cowboys when you've got first and second year players in the O-line protecting a 10-year veteran O-line? You've got a $60 million quarterback and a 5-cent O-line. Jalen Hurts is a $50 million investment with a $100 million investment O-line. Think of this. You invested $50 million in Jalen Hurts. $50 million for the two tackles, $40 for the center and the guard. That's $90 million. Counting the right guard, you're almost $95 million you invested in the O-line for a $50 million quarterback. That's the right thing to do. That's exactly how you build a team. Joe Burrow is a $60 million quarterback with a 2-cent O-line and perimeter players. The Cincinnati Bengals are building the team from the outside in. Never win. You build the football team from the inside out, not the outside in. You know why the Eagles could go out and get A.J. Brown and draft Devontae Smith? Because they had the interior guys already. You're afforded that when you build. You should never be building from the perimeter in. It's a crazy way to do it. Seriously, think about it. I'm going to get the best wide receivers with the work. This is the Giants. The Giants went out and got Malik Neighbors and signed Malik Neighbors with a $2 O-line. What are you thinking? Why in the world would I want a top flight talented wideout when I can't get the fucking ball to him? That makes no sense. That's correct. Great take. They'd be drafting all of these offensive wide receivers, especially during Big Easy. Tell these guys, during the Matt Millen years, when Millen was the general manager of the team, they're signing all these wide receivers and they got a $5 old line. Like, you don't build a team from. Does anybody know how Tom Coughlin built that Jaguar team? Does anybody know who the first overall pick in the history of the franchise was? And why he won 2 Super Bowls in New York? Does anybody know who, when the Jags became a team, who was the first player drafted in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Does anybody know? Tony Baselli. See? You would think Fred Taylor, Byron Leftwich. It was Tony Baselli. You built with O-line. He knew what he was doing. Think of that. Tony Baselli was the #1 overall draft pick in the history of the franchise. It was the right selection. He's a Hall of Famer. And that's why Tom had success early with Jacksonville. They were building from the. By the way, remember who their quarterback was? This is another example of what we're talking about with Justin Herbert or Brock Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo. Anybody remember who their quarterback was that went to an AFC championship game? You remember? I mean, he was okay. I wouldn't write home about him. But he was a good football player, but he wasn't anybody great. But you don't have to be great at that position if you've got a great roster and you know what you're doing and executing at building a football team. Right? They had Mark Brunell. He was okay. He took that team to an AFC championship. The Jags. I mean, the Jaguars. So since Jeffrey Lurie has been the owner of the Eagles, what has been the best position for 30 years? O-tackle. O-line. No doubt. They were not going to go down the slippery slope of Norman Brayman. They were not going to go down that lane. They were just not going to. The entire time that Randall Cunningham was the starting quarterback in Philadelphia, there were some decent players in there. Dave Remington was in there. They had some good ball players in there, but they didn't have really elite guys. They had, what's his name? Ron Heller. He was in there, but nobody to write home about. And right, this is probably where intangibles come into play. Dak had that O-line for years ago and couldn't do it. Hurts had it and did it. It's true. The O-line is integral to the whole thing. But I'll say this to you, Emrayes. Here's the one thing here that is different. Okay? You're right. The Cowboys had a great O-line. Their defense was good. Zeke was in his prime. They couldn't get it done. Okay? I think the Dallas Cowboys still failed Dak Prescott by not building the team around his weaknesses. In the playoffs, you needed a better coordinator. You needed to have a guy, not throw the ball to win. You needed to run the ball. You know the one flaw that they made, Emrayes, that was really awful in their playoffs? When they had that one team that went up to Green Bay and that thing was a catch, They should have went on to the NFC Championship game. Oh, wait. Maybe that was the wild card. I don't remember. But they could have went on. Here's the problem that they have. Jerry thought you had to throw to get yourself into the NFC title game. Jimmy thought you had to run. The Eagles run to get into the championship games. Dak Prescott's not going to throw you into any conference title games. I just don't believe it. To some aspect, I think Burrow could, but I don't think he has the defense that could. Get this. Don't you agree with a guy like Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow could drive a team down with 2 minutes left in a game. And if there's a minute left, the Bengals would lose. Because they can't stop anybody. Right here. This is what they do for Hurts that they don't do for Dak. And Jalen takes advantage of it. And he doesn't complain about it. Jalen goes, hey, okay, for 18 weeks, we're going to run the ball. Conference title game, Super Bowl, we're going to start because teams are going to start loading the box on us. We're going to open up the passing game a little more. That's what they did. It's not a rip. It's a style of play. It's a style of play. So you're saying Burrow yeah. Why? Here, get this. What's the one thing you would add to Cincinnati? This is a great conversation. What's the one thing you would add to Cincinnati right now? You want to help Joe Burrow? Say you were going into the season with the exact same team. Okay? And you can't really do a lot with a unit. What would be the one thing that you would try to help Joe Burrow with? You're not wrong, Jeff. But you can't build an entire defense, I don't think, in a year and a half. Okay? You drafted well. Howie did it right. Drafted well. Vic became the architect. There you go. You know what the Eagles should have, you know what the Bengals should have done? They should have signed Derrick Henry. You can have T. Higgins. I'll draft another guy. I'll sign Henry. And with minutes left in the game, Henry will run the clock out for me. They were better when they had Joe Mixon. When they had Joe Mixon, they went to a Super Bowl. This is why M. Reyes is right about the Ravens. You got Derrick Henry, and you're throwing the ball 40 times or 38 times in a game. Why? You know what the Eagles do? No. Quarterback will throw it 22 times, and then the running back will take over, and he'll go for 155. And good night. You're annihilated. They are so smart, the Philadelphia Eagles, and how they approach their games and how they look at their quarterback and how they look at how to win games. Listen, it's not just about the personnel you have. It's the style of approach you have. They know teams aren't built today's NFL to stop the run. They're built today to stop the pass. That's why it makes no sense high volume passing for Hurts. And that's why when you're talking about evaluating Jalen, it's impossible. Jalen had 361 attempts, and you killed teams. Think of that. You had a quarterback with attempts that resembled a quarterback from the late 80s. When it came to passing attempts in a passing league. It's fundamentally, get this, the Eagles have caught the league with their pants down. Do you understand? This is what happened. They went like this. Xander thinks they evolved it. I don't. I think they reasoned it out. They went into that bye and they went. Look at them. Like I pointed this out to you guys. Look at your schedule now. You think there's any top flight defenses that are set up to stop the run this year too? And you're playing a tougher schedule? I don't. You'll be favored in every game going into these games, including Buffalo. Why? Well, because style of play. Do I think Buffalo's run defense can stop the Eagle O-line? No fucking way. No way. Do I think they could stop the Eagle passing game? Yeah. Bad throw, bad weather, what have you. Rams type of game, snow on the ground, turnovers, stupid play. Who knows? Run the ball? Boom, boom. Check this out. Here's the things that can happen in a pass. Just so you know how high-level turnover plays work and what a coordinator thinks. Snap the ball. You can snap the ball. You could have a fumble on the snap, correct? Drop back. You could drop the ball on the ground. 2. Throw it. You could throw a pick. 3. Tip pass. 4. Receiver catches it, fumbles it. 5. Here's the one thing he got with a run game. Could get it on, could drop the ball on the snap. He exchanged to the running back, and he could drop it. You got 3 movements there where there's high percentage of turnover. You got 7 on one pass. What's a better play when it comes to low percentage turnovers and playing the averages like Brady talks about every time he does a broadcast? Play low percentage football on turnovers. That's what they did. Who led the NFL in turnover ratio last year? Did the Eagles? It wouldn't shock me. Were they number 1 in least amount of turnovers? Shit, they had to be top 3. I don't remember them turning the ball over. Who was the number 1 team that had the least amount of turnovers? Does anybody know? Think about this. What I'm going to point out to you here. Hey, Kyle, look it up for me. Who had the least amount of turnovers in the playoffs and in the regular season? Eagles had to be top 3. Eagles had 15 in 4 games at the beginning of the year. After that, since I watch college football, is there any secondary player I should keep my eye on? We'll do that a little bit later. I mean, common sense tells you. The kid had 6 picks. Kyle, where were the Eagles in that conversation? Were they in the top? Were they in the top 5? Birds and skins. Why? You ran the ball. You didn't throw it. All the teams with high turnovers threw the ball. That's playoff football. What's the one thing you saw always that was a problem for teams in the AFC? You had to go to New England and play in the bad weather. Every single team except the Ravens were always set up for that. The Ravens could go up there and play New England all the time. Who's the one team that couldn't? A dome Colts team would go up to New England and get their doorknobs knocked off because they threw the ball, high percentage. Peyton Manning's 14 and 13 in the playoffs. Why? They threw the ball in the playoffs. They didn't run it. Do you know who hurt Eli? You know who hurt Peyton Manning the most? It was Peyton Manning. You had Edgerrin James and you had Marshall Faulk, and you're throwing it in the playoffs. Stupid. Just stupid shit. Get this. So run the ball. That's why when people are going like, all kidding aside here, when people are saying, well, Hurts should throw, 4K. I mean, my God. If he has another, get this. If you guys have another 2,900-yard year passing in 18 touchdowns, that means Barkley's over 2,105. And you run teams off the field again. If Hurts has 4,500 passing yards this year, you're 9-8 because you're playing from behind. And it would be one thing that you guys have not played from since 2001. He's playing from behind. You know, that's the one thing that the Eagles, because of their O-line, affords you. I can't remember games in 4 years in any stretch of the Jalen Hurts era and that O-line's era where you've played from behind. I don't remember a lot of games, especially stretches of games, where you've played from behind. I just don't. You know, maybe the meltdown that you played. But that was a team, those were teams like rallying, like Seattle rallied, Arizona rallied, you know? The meltdown was because of personnel. It was game management. Here's Brian Johnson's biggest problem he had. Brian Johnson was a first-year play caller, just like your guy Kevin Petullo would be. He didn't have any ways of problem solving. And DeAndre Swift was not a dominant running back. He was good, but he wasn't a dominant player. Sills, that's why Seattle lost the Super Bowl to the Pats on that Malcolm Butler interception. You're on the 1 yard line. They had the best running back in beast mode, and they threw a pick to Butler. Correct. You could have walked in it, but Marshawn Lynch would have walked into the end zone. There'd be 2 Super Bowls in a row for Seattle. Why are you throwing it? Again, going to the quarterback's weakness. That was an ego play. They wanted Russell Wilson to be the MVP of that game versus Brady. Instead of doing what was right, just turn around and hand it. They didn't want Marshawn Lynch to be like the star of the game. Game-winning touchdown against the GOAT. No, they didn't want that. That's a stupid mentality. 1 yard. Minutes left in the ballgame. Hey, but remember something. What did Pete Carroll do in that Texas game when he was at Southern Cal? Remember, he punted. Remember what he did? Or no, he went for it on 4th down, and they didn't get it. And then what happened? Vince Young took it home. Remember that? He went for it in the national championship game and didn't get it. That 4th down play and that back-and-forth Texas-USC game. Okay? Remember? Yeah, I remember that too. I remember Marshawn Lynch going to the sidelines laughing. Like, what the hell was that decision? It was a coaching decision. Again, like I tell you, these quarterbacks, name them. All these guys on this list. Here, let's go down the list here. I'll tell you, this is how I would, every quarterback on this list here. Here, let's go down to this list. This is how I would coach them. Patrick Mahomes. You know what I would do with Patrick Mahomes right now? Get him a quality running back. You don't have to have a quality. And also, you know what I would do? I would get Patrick Mahomes a quality running back, and I'd get him Dallas Goedert next year. Josh Allen. Josh Allen needs another back or a tight end. The guy Kincaid is okay. But I'm not having Josh Allen throw the football in January or February in the fucking snow, thinking I'm winning. And then I got to go against Mahomes, who does that shit proficiently. It's stupid, man. Here's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow needs a running back. Why? Well, if your defense is going to suck and zipper Mike Brown is not going to open up his wallet, you need a guy to run the clock. Jaden Daniels, I need to get a better back. That kid that they got, Robinson's a pretty good ball player, but pretty good ain't going to cut it. Matthew Stafford, he's older. What do you need? More players. You know who would do well in Philly? Matthew Stafford. You know why? He doesn't have to do much. Matthew Stafford's rolling back on Father Time. He's on the back nine. You need a lot of good players around him right now. Herbert, he finally has a coach. Get this. Herbert threw 5 picks with Brandon Staley. Do you know who was one of the top running games in the NFL last year? Why Justin Herbert had such a good year a year ago? The Chargers. I think they finished third or fourth in rushing. Why do you think he had a good year according to PFF? Because they got a running game going. That's why. So when I made that comment to you at the open of the show, how did 2 shitty quarterbacks make it to a Super Bowl? Simple. They had a good roster. Okay. That's why when you're talking about, what was the word Xander was using? Egregious? that was the word of the day, egregious. I had to look the fucker up. You know me. These guys use big words. I'm a man of the people here. I don't use big words. What's the rule that prevents us from doing both? Jalen over 4K and running game with Barkley, Shipley, and Dillon over 2K. Dude, you got the old line for that to screw that whole thing up and go for it. Yeah, you got that. You absolutely do. All right. Great combo, man. Guys, I appreciate the supers. And by the way, thank you very much. What is this? 12-month member. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate that very much. By the way, we got a nice treat for you because of the All-Star game. Coming up, we got Kurt Schilling going to join us. We're going to talk some ball with him. That'll be at 4:30. And we will talk with our friend, Kurt Schilling. Hit the like button. Without further ado, our boy, Big Z, Xander Kraus joins us now. How you doing?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
You like the All-Star game?
What, the MLB one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think there's I think you turn it on and you realize kind of how far baseball fallen because some of the names you don't even know. And I don't know if that's just me. And I've been watching baseball a lot this year, so I'm familiar with most of them. But I hope baseball makes a hard comeback because, and I think for some reason I feel a turn. I feel like maybe they hit the bottom and they're on their way back up. But I don't know, man. I was watching a little bit of the home run derby last night, and I'm like, who?
Hey,
and you're just like, dude, they used to turn on the home run derby, and it was, all the biggest names. Yeah. I mean, and you're like, man, this is awesome, Yeah. But I hope baseball bounces back a little bit. But no, I like the All-Star game. I'll say what, I like them jerseys. I like the jerseys they had on. I thought they were pretty cool looking.
So I did too. I can't wait to see it tonight. I'm an American League guy. I'm sure you're a National League guy because of the Phillies. So I'm an American League guy because I'm a Yankee guy, man. I mean, I told you, I grew up in a Yankee household. That's right. That's right. You grew up, your pop's a Yankee fan.
I grew up in a Yankee household. So I got some respect for the Yanks for sure.
Do you understand what I was saying today here about teams? I didn't even really start the conversation off about Jalen Hurts. How in the world did a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, and do you think highly of Purdy? I don't remember.
I think he's a great mediocre quarterback.
How did he get to
probably the best version of a mediocre quarterback you can get?
Okay, then how did a mediocre quarterback take a team or help a team get to a Super Bowl?
Well, I think he had a lot of great situation.
Okay.
I do think he played really well that year. I mean, didn't he? He played really good in the playoffs. I think he got the ball. How many passing yards did he have? 4,000 yards?
41.
I think one of the best things with Brock Purdy, though, is that the system he's in with Kyle Shanahan allows his skill set to work great. I mean, in a way, I see where you're going. It is comparable to Jalen Hurts, where the way the team plays offense in Philly is compatible with the quarterback, and the way that Kyle Shanahan was running an offense in San Francisco was compatible with the way Brock Purdy was playing, because get the ball out quick, get the ball in your playmaker's hands, and he's a read and react quarterback. He gets the ball out quick. He's not a scrambler. He's not a playmaker. He's the ball out quick. He's a rhythm guy, right? So 3-step drop, 5-step drop, back foot hits the dirt and let the ball go. And Kyle had a perfect offense for that. Now, I think where Jalen differentiates himself from a player like that is Jalen possesses elite playmaking ability, and we've seen it time and time again. I don't know if I've ever seen Brock Purdy, make a play where you're like, oh my God. I've seen plenty of those plays from Jalen Hurts. Now, where you're right is you can draw the comp a little bit. Jalen might not work in a high-powered offense. Jalen works in Philly really well, but I think Jalen possesses a lot more of an upside to him than Purdy would.
I'm not suggesting in any way Purdy's better. I'm just telling you that Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy, according to people in Philly, those are mediocre players that benefited having a great football team around them. You don't need to be an elite player at that position to help your football team get to a Super Bowl, is what you're saying.
Well, obviously different circumstances dictated for sure. But
there were two different guys.
Well, that's right. I know, but I don't think that takes away from what Jalen's done.
I'm not talking about Jalen. I'm talking about two quarterbacks that you just called average and mediocre, took two teams to 2 Super Bowls, and they were okay, and they benefited having a great football team around them. Is that correct? So okay. So you're calling those guys mediocre. And
but what's the point? Like, what's the point of the game is to win the game.
The same thing here when it comes to the quarterback in Philly. And I'm not saying he's mediocre. I'm saying this. Anytime you talk about Herbert or any of these other quarterbacks, it first has to start with the talent around them, not the talent of the player. What is the environment that he?
No, because I don't really agree with that. Because why hasn't Joe Burrow and Josh Allen won?
Because they don't have good football teams,
right? And they're not. And does that take away from what they are as players? So if every great quarterback needs a great team around them, then why are we using it as a crutch for Purdy but not Jalen, or for Jalen and not the rest of them?
Wait again.
By the way, the other difference is Purdy's been to one, and they haven't been back.
He's been starting fewer years. He hasn't been starting the same amount of years. No, he hasn't.
Jalen's been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years.
He's started 2 years in San Francisco.
Jalen's been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years with 2 really different rosters.
His first year starting, he went.
Yeah, well,
because he had a good team around him, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't Jalen's progression. Jalen started off slower his rookie year. They won 9 games. He got better as a player, reached MVP level play, and went to a Super Bowl. So again, Purdy might be like this, Sills. And if you got a great team around him, you can get him to the Super Bowl. Jalen has a much higher upside and a much higher ceiling than a player like that. And yes, Philly has a great roster, but the only thing that means to me is that Jalen doesn't have to be as elite on a week in, week out basis. But when he was elite, and by the way, my entire life, Sills, my entire life on this planet, the entire 27 years I've been on this planet, you know what we have talked about in Philadelphia, even with the absence of them? Playoff football, winning playoff games, winning the Super Bowl. We never had it. So when you get to the things that are more important than the regular season, that are more important than all the other games, and Jalen plays lights out in those games without Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl, without Saquon Barkley in 2022. He was the best player on the field in the 22 Super Bowl. So the upside is way higher on Jalen Hurts than it is on a guy like Brock Purdy.
He's had 1 year of consistent football, which was 22, which was 3 years, which is going on 3 years ago now. Is that right, in your opinion?
Well, I don't think no.
Really? Okay. One other year.
I think that was his best year of football.
What other year do you think he's played consistent football where he was like at that 22 level?
Well, it hasn't been consistent because the team has asked him to be a different version of himself each year. And there's pros to that and cons to that, right? You can say somebody like a Big Sills would say, they don't ask Burrow to be different. I would say you're a chameleon. Different teams are always going to require a different version of the quarterback. That's why so many great quarterbacks come up short, because they're stuck in one mode. Jalen is, again, for lack of a better word, a chameleon and can be what you need him to be. 22, if you didn't have an MVP quarterback, we weren't going to the Super Bowl. In 24, if Jalen Hurts was turning the ball over like he was in weeks 1 through 4, or he wasn't doing his job to manage those games the right way, we weren't going to the Super Bowl. So 2 different versions of Jalen, 2 Super Bowl appearances. I view that as a feather in the cap as opposed to, a chink in the armor.
How about this? Like I said, you don't have to be an elite player to get your team to a Super Bowl was one of the points that I was trying to make. You're a product of your environment that you're on.
But I do think Jalen's an elite player.
Okay. Jalen's the 6th best player in his huddle, correct?
I'd say probably 3rd or 4th, probably. Probably take Mailata, Lane, Saquon, and AJ, and then I'd probably go Jalen 5th.
So you think that Landon being probably the best guard in the sport, Jalen's not the best.
I think Jalen and Landon are very comparable in how good Jalen is as a quarterback compared to how good Landon is as a guard. So if you told me you take Landon, I think that's more of a credit to the front office than it is a knock on Jalen.
I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying this, that's the only place in the NFL where the quarterback's the 4th or 5th or 6th best player in the huddle. The only place in the league.
Oh, and that's one of the places where
a feather in the hat? Sure. But that's to the point I was making earlier, that you don't have to be an elite player to get a team to a Super Bowl. Especially when you're not the best player. You don't. You don't think
Brock Purdy. I don't disagree entirely with your premise. I disagree with linking it into who Jalen is, because I don't believe you could take another quarterback. You say that like, okay, if all you need is to be is mediocre for a team like this, then why do we pay Jalen? Just draft a 3rd rounder if all you needed to be is mediocre.
I never said he was.
I'm
not saying that.
What are you saying then? Get off the fence and say it.
No fucking fence. I'm telling you, you need a great football team, not a great quarterback to win Super Bowls.
That goes for every team in the league, right? Maybe outside of Mahomes.
Except one guy that's in KC.
Yeah,
that's it.
Agreed. And did you hear John? I mean, John thinks KC's a really great team too. I don't think the roster is nearly as good as the Eagles. Yeah, I don't think their roster is even as good as the Ravens or probably even the Bills. I mean, the Bills have had some players in the last couple of years, and now they've added Joey Bosa. They got a good defensive line. I mean, they've bolstered up their offensive line a little bit. Their skill position guys don't wow me at all, and I think that's why you see so much playmaking coming from Josh Allen. But I think overall that's a pretty good roster. Chiefs roster doesn't wow me, and I think that's why, in my mind, I don't really care what Mahomes does. He's the number 1 quarterback in football because he's the only one that's proven he'll defy the odds at every level. When the team is great, he'll win. When the team's not so great, he'll win. Now, he's had bad Super Bowls. He's had bad playoff games. There's been times where you watch Mahomes and you're like, what the heck are you doing? But, all the things added up together makes me, kill the ego and say, shit, he's doing it. So I think Jalen's kind of in that category, just maybe a little bit further behind Mahomes.
Here's what I would say to you when you look at this list of 10. It's been 24 hours, and I heard a bunch of bullshit. Most of it is. Okay, and I even disagree with it. But here, every single one of these quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes is starting to get into the area of his career where, bro, you need a running back there. Like, you need a running back, because you're going to start getting into a position where if you had a decent running back in that football game, that may have been a completely different ball game if they had somebody that could possess the ball and move the sticks outside of the quarterback having to do everything. He's not in that position any longer because the game is not evolving now. The offense is not evolving. You're limiting, like you said, Xander, you go from Tyreek Hill to Juju Smith-Schuster to a first-year Xavier Worthy, you're fucking going backwards. You're not going forward. And you got an aging Travis Kelce. And you're losing left tackles that was first-team All-Pro. I don't know what, like you said, what John's thinking there, but in the last 3 years, you've lost Tooney, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce's getting older. I don't know where you're adding players on that offense. So that, like I said, I agree with you. I think they take a step back. Here's Josh Allen, bro. They need a running game late in the season when the weather is where they're going. This is what the Eagles do so well. They build around Jalen Hurts' deficiencies so he doesn't have to be a player every week to carry his fucking football team. It's not a rip. That is executive building of a program. The Bills, he's not going to throw you into a Super Bowl. Here's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl when they had Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon was a 1,200-yard rusher. They got rid of Joe Mixon. The O-line's the worst O-line in football, and their defense sucks. Where the fuck are you going with that? I would make this point to you. Joe Burrow probably does more with less than anybody on the football field in the NFL. Some would go, wait, he's got Chase and Higgins. And then who else? The defense blows. They were 28th. The O-line is one of the lower three worst in the league. Where are you going? And you won 9 games. You want to know slow starts? The organization does not have a good – I can't believe he wins as many games as he wins there. Some go, well, that's an excuse. And like an excuse, it's reality. Mike Brown doesn't – do you think Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals build good teams?
No.
Okay, well –
Is your internet bad on your side? Does it say it's bad? Or is it me?
It's you. I'm full juiced.
All right, you're cutting out like crazy, but it says my internet's good.
Really?
All right, you're good. Yeah, I can barely hear you right now.
Holy cow. No, everything's good on this side over here, man. Really? We're still cutting out?
I don't know if it's you. It might be me. Full juiced. Still, Sue says you're good.
Yeah, I'm full juice, bro. I've got like my Viagra needle is pointing up. How you doing?
All right, you're good.
Okay,
all right, you're
everything's
good.
Over here. Yeah. So
it might be me.
Listen, I'm just trying to put context into this. It's been 24 hours. I heard people going like, what was that word you were using? It was a pretty fancy word. I had to look it up. Egregious?
That's not a big word, Sills.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not as educated as you are here. So I mean, egregious. So I mean, look, I just made the point. You don't have to be a good quarterback to go to a Super Bowl. Right? Did I not?
I get. I don't really think. I mean, I don't know. I think you're trying to make you're making a backhanded compliment on Jalen and saying it's not a rip. It's not. You just said it's not a rip, so that I can't say it's a rip. But like it is a rip. You're trying to discredit what Jalen has done to lead the team to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. I'm not going to do that. He's had more success with our football team than any other quarterback. I'm giving him credit for that.
Wait, you just said Brock Purdy is a below average to average guy.
All right. Would you take Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts?
I take Jalen Hurts.
No. Answer the question. Would you take Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts?
I would totally take Jalen Hurts over the stiff that took a team to a Super Bowl. Yes. My point is made. Yes, I would. But still, a stiff took a team to a playoff because of roster, not because of quarterback play. He didn't take that team to the Super Bowl.
When Brock Purdy gets half a new roster and leads that team back to the Super Bowl, then maybe I'll consider him in the same sentence as Jalen Hurts. Until that point, he's not in that category.
Why don't you give him the same latitude of playing time that Hurts has? He's only been starting 2 years.
That's not true. Brock Purdy
really?
3 years.
Okay, well, Hurts has been starting 4 years, so 3 years.
He started 3. Well, and 22. I guess he didn't. He only had 1,300 yards. I don't know how many games he played that year, but I mean, huh?
I think he played 5. I think he started like the last 4 games of the year that year. Okay. So
let me leave and come back. This is ridiculous. I can barely hear you.
Okay. All right. All good. Folks, is it me? Tell me if it's me or is it him? Because
let me leave and come back real quick.
All right. Yeah, because he's freezing. I wonder if it is. Is it me or is it him? I'm fully juiced up here. I'm ready to rock. We're good here. Okay. Yeah, see, now he's like swirling here. Is that what it is? All right. Okay? Trey, I don't take his opinion seriously. Thinks that Dak's better than Aikman. No way. No way. Absolutely no way. So let's there he is.
I'm
hey
back,
man, you
baby.
gotta work
I heard you.
you gotta work in that Corvette Wi-Fi, man.
Corvette Wi-Fi is fine, baby.
Yeah, see, wait a minute. See, look at you get all offended. See him get offended.
I'm not offended at all. I just think your take is terrible. It's a terrible take. It's not backing
you
anything.
just said he's how is it
and you
terrible?
continued to bash the player. It's fine. You don't like the player. He's
I
not your
didn't
style.
bash him.
He's going to keep winning. The
I
Eagles are in the best spot they've ever been
He's
in.
making
We've
this
had the
up.
best run. In fact, you could argue Big Sills is a good luck charm because we hired this guy to come and talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, and we've had the best 4-year run.
I'm not bashing him, guys. I'm not bashing him. Zaner just said that Brock Purdy was a below-average quarterback, and he thinks that's a backhanded slap to Jalen Hurts because he took a team to a Super Bowl like Jimmy Garoppolo did. How's that a backhanded slap? My point was trying to make is that a roster gets you to the Super Bowl, not quarterback play. That was my point. And this is all the Jalen guys that get upset when you say something like that. And everybody gets offended and defensive because they think it's a backhanded slap. It's not a backhanded slap. Maybe a little. Bobo Lang. Bobo Lang. Oh, man. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button here. How you doing? We're 7 days out from the start of camp. All right. Hopefully we see if we get Xander back up here again, man.
I'm right here.
Man,
Someone's going to have to pay.
You are so offended and you get so twisted.
I'm not offended. I'm trying to protect you. You're making yourself look dumb.
How is that?
You've been shitting on the player for 4 years. We've had more success than any other player we've ever had in Philly.
Nobody's talking about him. You just said a shitty quarterback took a team to a Super Bowl. How is that a bad take? That's your take.
Hey, Elizabeth, when I'm not on this show doesn't go on without me, whether I'm on the screen or not. There is no afternoon off in my world, okay, Elizabeth? So take that and get out of here with it. Big Sills has shit takes all around. I'm telling him they're shit, and he can't disprove it. I mean, how much more does Jalen have to do?
I'm not talking about – wait. Dude, once again, this is the defensive mode that everyone in Philly jumps on when you make a point that when I say this – and by the way, I asked everybody, what was your take on Brock Purdy? Everyone goes below average, not very good. Why did he get a team to a Super Bowl? Everyone goes because he had a good team around him, okay? How did Garoppolo get there? Not a very good player, had a good team around him. How is that a fucking shit take?
Jalen Hurts to Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo.
I didn't say Jalen Hurts' name once there.
Oh, there we go. He hides behind that BS. Are you not lumping Jalen in with those two players or not?
Wait a second.
Get off the fence.
Make
the take or don't.
I just fucking went down the lane that said, how did a shitty quarterback take a team to a Super Bowl? And somehow this has turned into, who would you rather have, Hurts or Purdy? I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about. Didn't
they just pay Purdy $51 million more or $55 million more than Jalen Hurts?
I think $51 million. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, don't be so offended.
I'm not offended at all. I don't take offense to things that don't make sense.
That's a point that's fact. You just fucking said it. He sucks. He's no good. He got a team to a Super Bowl. You just fucking said it. How is that not facts?
Did he win it?
Again, no. He sucks. He's not good.
Has he been to 2?
He's not good.
Has he been second in the MVP voting?
Third.
Has he been second team All-Pro?
I don't believe he was second team, but
is he 90-20 in his professional football career?
2 fucking years.
Okay, good. They're not the
I'm
same
not
player.
saying
They're
he's
not
better.
even close to the same
Get
player.
this, guys. Somehow he's evolved this into saying that I think Purdy's better than him. I didn't say that. I said he's lesser than him.
So what's the insinuation? If I can't pick up on it, if I'm having such a hard time picking up on what you're trying to say, then explain it to me like I'm two.
You don't have to be a great quarterback to take a fucking team to a Super Bowl.
And the point is?
That's the point. It's about roster, not the quarterback.
So you're not talking about Jalen Hurts at all. You're just making a blanket statement that across the NFL, you can get to a Super Bowl without elite quarterback.
And I have receipts to prove it.
Well, yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay.
That's not the case in Philly, but
that's
fine.
why nobody's talking. That's why when you talk and see these rankings,
I talk about the Eagles. I care about the Eagles. No. I don't give a shit about Brock Purdy.
Have these rankings of these quarterbacks. You first have to start with the team, not the player. What's the environment they're in? Who's the coach? Who's the personnel guy? Who's the GM? All of that. And then you go like this. The one point that you make all the time is this. The guy in Baltimore has no excuses. And I completely agree. And as a matter of fact,
you give him an excuse every week.
What's that?
And you love giving him excuses.
What excuse is that? He's a better player than him?
And the entire media.
No, I'm not. Okay, then the entire league gives him an excuse. And every executive in the league gives him an excuse. And then everybody that's a coach gives him an excuse. And I'm with those guys. You're right. I'm not in that camp that thinks your boy's better than him. I'm not. And I'm with the rest of the league and the rest of the general managers and the rest.
I'm starting to think everybody's a little bit of a butterball on Lamar Jackson. Like, yo, dude, win. Like, I don't really give a shit that you can juke. Like, I really don't care. Like, it does. That's not that cool to me. I want parades. And if you're a Baltimore fan, I'm sure they're thinking the same thing.
You get parades because of the roster, not the quarterback.
What's the difference? I want to win.
Okay, right.
I don't want 4,000 passing yards. I don't care.
Nobody is saying that you don't, bro. You have the best team in football. You got it. I got that. But my point today was, which I proved because we have documents of it, of players doing it. Everybody in here today said Garoppolo and Purdy suck dick. They're not good. Yet they got there. How's that possible? You know how it is? You got a really good team. So you don't have to be elite to get a team to a Super Bowl. And there's two examples of it.
And on the National Football Show with a Philadelphia Eagles audience, your comp to the Eagles is what?
It wasn't a comp to the Eagles. It was more about the top 10 list and how you ranked those quarterbacks and how you looked at those QBs. This was not really, hey, I even told you yesterday, I think Hurts is too low on that thing. My point is how everyone looks at that list and doesn't put proper context around it. And the proper context is, hey, are they on good teams? Do they have good coaches? And by the way, we say it. I hear John say it. It's not a rip that you guys have built a great roster, a great organization, a great team. You don't need to be an elite quarterback to take a team to a Super Bowl, was my point. You have to have an elite roster to get there. Brock Purdy had a great defense. Do you not agree? The year they went to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty fucking good. That was a great defense, right? Their O-line was good. McCaffrey was insane, right? Okay. Well, that's the point. It was more about the list and how they ranked them. Here, this is what I would say to you. Watch this on this list. Who has the best team on this list of 10? Jalen Hurts. Well, they're Super Bowl champions. So the Eagles would be no. Look at this. Watch this. The Eagles, number one. Who's got the second best roster on this list? That would be Jared Goff. He's ranked number 8, the Lions. They won 15 ball games last year. Let's go here. Who has the third best roster on this team? Let's see here. Who would that be? That would probably be Lamar. Baltimore. Okay? Baltimore won 14 ball games a year ago. Look at all the teams that are the best teams in the league and the guys that are on this list here. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati's not one of the best rosters. Buffalo's not one of the best rosters. Herbert,
Buffalo's top 10 for sure.
Name me one player in that offense that you like.
It's not about that. Overall, that roster is a top 10 roster in the NFL, Sills, for sure.
Name me one receiver that's worth a shit.
Well, I mean, is it all about only skill position players? They got good offensive line. They got good defensive line. They got good play. They got good cornerbacks. I mean, they got a good
throw line's good.
Yeah, their own line's good. They got that running back, that Cook kid. I mean, they got players there. I mean, they don't have nothing. I mean, I agree Josh Allen is the biggest part of their offense, but hey, if he's so damn good, shouldn't he make up for the difference in that roster versus the Eagles roster?
No, because you know what?
Maybe he's not that much better than Jalen Hurts.
Okay, well, you can make that argument, but again, I won't. But I'll say this. I think the organization has to do a better job at going against his deficiencies like they do in Philly. Dude, they do a great job with deficiencies. You know, why do you think they signed Barkley a year ago? They didn't want Hurts to be the best running back in the backfield.
Well, maybe. I mean, you know, I think.
What did it do? It made him the second best. He's probably one of the best running quarterbacks that can throw the ball in NFL history. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think some teams, you know, get complacent, and Howie never got complacent. To be fair,
nope.
You know, and he added Saquon Barkley when most GMs probably would have said, "Nah, we're not going to go that route. We're going to save the money here and sign a defender down the line." You know, Howie doubled down. And, you know, it's great that we added Saquon Barkley, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Saquon Barkley is the entire reason for Jalen Hurts' success. It's just not true. Saquon was a big part of it last year. The circumstance dictated that that's how we could play the ball. We had a great defense, a great running game, and it took us all the way to the Super Bowl. In 22, I watched Jalen be a completely different player, an MVP level player, and take an offense and lead him to a Super Bowl. So I don't like the using that Saquon showed up and now Jalen Hurts is a caboose. It just doesn't make sense. Now, did Saquon help? Absolutely. He's an unbelievable football player. That's what you do. You get a team, you get great players together, and you increase your chances at winning. So Saquon put us over the top. But I watched Jalen be an MVP candidate for the whole 22 season and go into the playoffs, be the best player on the field in Super Bowl 57, and he still doesn't get a damn lick of respect. I don't understand it.
That's 3 years ago now.
Who gives a shit?
No shit. Really? Who gives a shit? No question. I don't give a shit about
Brock. You brought up Brock Purdy and Jimmy G. They don't have that on their. They don't have that on their resume.
What? Why? He took a team. He went to a Super Bowl in his second year starting. Actually, in his first year. I'm trying
to show you. You're trying to make a comp.
No,
that
I'm
the
not.
Quarterbacks who have led a great team to a Super Bowl.
That's not.
What is your point of saying? Are you seriously telling me your point of saying it isn't to say that Jalen Hurts is boosted by a great team?
Absolutely not. It's by the fact that he went to a Super Bowl because you got a good football team. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. You just got through. Wait a minute. You just got through saying Brock Purdy below average, and he got to the game.
That was too much. He's not below average. Brock Purdy is an average to above average.
Is Garoppolo below average?
I would say Garoppolo in his prime was probably average.
Okay.
Now he's well below average.
Okay, so average. Wait a minute. What's the difference between Garoppolo today and Garoppolo when he took a team to a Super Bowl? Could it be that the roster he's on now is not good?
Well, you know, what's the other common denominator with this comparison?
That you have to have a good football team around you to get to that.
Oh, no, there's one other common denominator that we haven't yet discussed.
Okay, what's that?
It's that Purdy and Garoppolo were both on the same organization with the same head coach who has a clear propensity to like that style of quarterback more than a playmaking style of quarterback. Now, that's not to say that they didn't have a great roster and that's not the reason that they went to the Super Bowl. But again, I view it as very, very, very different.
I don't think 4,100 yards and 33 touchdown passes is below average. I don't think that's.
I'm cutting out.
I don't think
with somebody about this.
Is it your internet?
Yeah, it's mine. I got to have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this going into camp. 7 days out. For you, first 4 games of the year, will they be different than the first 4 games last year, and how? And why?
I think they'll be different offensively. I don't think Jalen's going to come out with 7 turnovers.
Nope.
I think they have a more grounded approach in the way they're going to play offense. They know they have Saquon. That doesn't mean they might not try and boost their passing game a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to come out and try and be something that they're not. So I think the offense looks a lot different, but I think it could be comparable defensively, where you have a lot of the young guys, a lot of the new starters coming in, and maybe it takes them a couple weeks. I think it might even take a couple of weeks, by the way, for the young players. You know, think about this. They played all the way to February. Their season went basically almost to the end of February with parades and marches and all sorts of different and PR campaigns.
They had a week
all
off.
Different things. My question is, how, you know, we talked about the youth on the team. I think by week 5, all this stuff is in the rearview mirror. But from week 1 to 4, do you have guys gassed? Do you have guys tired? Do you have guys that aren't quite, you know, up to game speed yet? I think that could be possible with a young team with, I don't want to say immature, but obviously a 30-year-old player is a different player. Yeah, inexperienced. Right. So I think maybe that could be a factor. And the other thing is, I think Fangio, I mean, on one side, you have the inexperienced players. On the other side, you have the most experienced coordinator. And I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to figure out what he actually wants and who he actually wants playing where. And
if it were me.
Did you get that? I'm spitting fire.
Say the last
I'm
part
spitting
again.
super hot fire over here, shredding the show, and my internet's not holding. I mean, this is a travesty.
You made no sense today on that tape when I was making that point today. I mean, you called the guy not a very good ball player, and I said not a very good ball player made the Super Bowl, and somehow you took that as an offensive shot at Jalen. I don't know where you got that from. I have no idea where you got that from. I was talking more about the list that was compiled with the top 9 guys. And as usual, Philly fans get upset with that because they think it's a backhanded slap at their guy.
Jalen Hurts is elite.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he was elite all year. By the way, he wasn't even the MVP on his own team a year ago.
He's elite.
Yeah, he looked it. I mean, you're right. 22 was his best year. 22 was his best year. That's for sure. No doubt about it. Tell you the one thing I do love, though. I do love the fact that he's hanging out with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Bro, when you're around people like that and you're talking to people like that, there's just something about it. When you hear guys talking about what motivates them and being around guys like Kobe, being around guys like back in the day when Kobe was alive, being around guys like Derek Jeter, what makes those guys tick. I like that fact that he's hanging around those guys because, again, that shit rubs off in my opinion.
I agree. I agree completely.
I really do.
He's the face of Jordan.
What?
He's going to be the face of Jordan.
Never be the face of Jordan. He's not on the team to do it. Dak is. Dak's on more TV. Dude, not that he's a better player. He's a better player.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. But you know, one guy's hanging out with Jordan in Greece, the other guy's nowhere to be found. Who's the face of Jordan?
Great. Okay, that's in your eyes and in maybe Michael's eyes even, but the public's eyes too.
Dak Prescott's barely the face of the Cowboys anymore.
Well, why are the Cowboys the most viewed television show of the year?
Well, they're the Cowboys. I mean, you talk about you.
That's my point. That's my point. It's not
Dak is not the face of Jordan.
Okay. Well, if you're on, get this, folks. If you're on the #1 television broadcast every year and more faces see you and you're on the most visible team, who's the face of Jordan? Who's the face of the league?
Jalen Hurts, the face of Jordan, and Luka Doncic. Those are the 2 faces of Jordan.
So even though he's got more exposure, he is the face of the league.
No, I'm talking about the actual man that started the brand, the superstar athletic phenom that is Michael Jordan himself, is hanging out with one of the 2 guys that we're talking about. You're trying to tell me that the face of the brand, not the team, not the NFL, not the Cowboys, the face of Jordan is Dak Prescott.
The ratings prove it.
No, the ratings prove that the Dallas Cowboys are the most dominant brand in the NFL.
I really don't have to debate that. He's on TV the most, and they're the highest. Wait a minute. Here's facts, folks. The Cowboys are on TV on the primetime games. They're the most visible team in the league and the sports team in this country. Who do you think gets more visibility? Jalen Hurts, who people are still saying whether or not he's a good player, or Dak Prescott, who's on the front of the television of NFL football every weekend? And the highest
NFL, I don't get what that has to do with Jordan. That's different.
I just said that's the face of a brand when you're the most exposed. Wait a minute.
Wait a second. Who was the most? Wait. So Dak gets a couple more million viewers on a weekly basis.
Couple more?
One guy's been playing in February 2 of the last 3 years. One guy was all over every TV show in the country. One guy was on the cover of 20 magazines this summer. One guy is all over everywhere. And one guy is traveling to Greece with the man himself. But the guy who's on the more bigger brand football team is the
franchise in the world. What's the most expensive franchise in the world?
That's a different point. You're right.
The Cowboys the quarterback's the face of that franchise.
Dude, that's NFL. That's not Jordan Brand, Sileo. They're two different things.
He wears the brand on the #1 TV show in the world, in our world, the NFL in America.
I would make a bet to you that Jalen Hurts got way more impressions last year across the entire digital ether in the world than Dak Prescott did. With the playoffs, with the Super Bowl, with all the appearances that he did. I mean, Dak Prescott barely played anything last year. Dak Prescott wasn't even invited to his Champions Conference in Greece. Dak Prescott is not the face of
Prescott barely played anything last year and made 60 fucking million. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right.
What's the bullshit?
Yeah,
what does that have to do with anything?
Get this. I'm sure you're right with people still complaining whether or not the guy's elite or not. Okay, yeah, I'm sure. And I'm not saying Dak's even good. I don't think Dak's good any longer. I don't. But he's on the #1 TV show of the year. And that's football without.
It's not the face of Jordan.
Okay, you're right. No, you're right. He's the face of the Cowboys. So whatever you want to take with that, then sure. Okay.
Yeah, he's the face of the Cowboys. That's different.
The Cowboys are the most visible team in the league. Are they not?
Sills.
Boy, I can't believe that. You're telling me a team? Watch this, folks. You go to a movie theater.
Advertising is my game, brother. That's how I feed my family. That's how I put money in my. That's how I pay your salary. I understand advertising.
Hey guys,
Jordan Brand is not
the
actor. Prescott is not the face of Jordan Brand.
If you're an
actor, we're close to it.
If you're an actor and you have a television show or a movie, and more people go and watch my movie versus this dude here, who's more visible, this guy or that guy? Who sells more tickets, this guy or that guy? Dak's on the most visible team in the world. And he's the face of that team. Plain and simple. I mean,
that does not equate to being the face of a brand, Sileo.
Yes, okay, you're right. That's why
I'm 100%. This isn't even like an opinionated debate. This is a fact.
Never.
Dak Prescott is nowhere close to the face of Jordan.
Never happened. Never happened.
Nowhere close.
He's not even the face of his own fucking team.
You're right. He's the face of Jordan, the brand that sponsors him, that has him at every event, that makes sweatshirts for him, that makes ad campaigns for him, that runs billboards for him, that does all these different things. I've never seen Dak Prescott in any of those things.
He's the face of the Eagles right now because he's the best player. Watch, I guarantee you when that list comes out of the top 100 players, you want to bet Barkley will be ranked ahead of Hurts? Yes or no?
Don't go to advertising school with Sileo. All right, I'll tell you that much.
You're damn right.
Listen to a sports show.
Get this. Hey, first you tried to, and then he tried to tell me you don't go to a Super Bowl with a shitty quarterback, and I proved it twice you do. And that's a bad take, and somehow it's a bad slap at him. I don't know. Anyway. Hey, I got to tell you. Let's do some of these supers. Let's do the supers here, brother.
Good night. Hangry Dog says, isn't the #1 TV show the Super Bowl? Yes, it is, Dio. Good point.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Leon Banks says, like this if you think Sills is a clown today. Jeff Bone the Bonehead says, can you see Jalen being better than McNabb? I think he's already more accomplished than McNabb.
Absolutely more accomplished. Absolutely.
Better? I don't know. I mean, I think McNabb obviously was a super uber talented player, but I don't think he
yeah, but if it's 2 minutes in a game, I'm taking Hurts over McNabb.
Yeah, but it's a tough comp because I've never seen McNabb with a team that's as good as what the Eagles have assembled right now. So, now could McNabb have handled it? Jalen took a back seat last year and has to listen to guys like Sileo and everybody else say he's the 9th best quarterback in football. I don't think McNabb could have handled that. He couldn't even handle T.O. for 1 year, let alone Saquon Barkley having 2,000 yards rushing, A.J. Brown crying about a book, Devontae Smith over here, Dallas Goedert wants a contract. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a different cat, but I think McNabb probably had more raw talent. But that doesn't always get you what you want in life. You got to have more than raw talent.
Absolutely.
Chris Scott says, do you think this Sauce Gardner contract could hurt us signing Cooper Q in 3 to 4 years? Definitely. He's getting $31 million.
Did he get signed today?
Yeah, $30.1 million.
Holy Madon.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
30.1.
Wow.
It's $100,000 more than Derek Stingley, who signed $30 million. And it's a $6 million jump from Patrick Surtain, who signed the highest paid cornerback contract in history just one off season to go at $24 million a year. So it pays to sign early, and this is why the Eagles do that. So when everybody wonders, hey, why sign Jalen just now? Why sign AJ? Well, that's why, because they know they're getting out ahead of it.
Didn't they just sign Garrett Wilson yesterday to a $32 million annual deal?
Yeah, I think yesterday or 2 days ago.
Wow, man, that's a lot of bones, man. Holy cow.
I think that's a little heavy for Sauce, honestly. I like the player.
Man. Me too.
But I think he's kind of tapered off a little bit. I'd like to see him.
I don't think he's in Surtain and Stingley's league, actually. I think he's a little bit below that, in my opinion.
Kyle says, how realistic we could be 4-0 with the Bucs, Chiefs declining rosters. I don't think the Bucs declined. Well, they got the offensive line issues right now. The worst soon. Maybe. I like that.
I don't think
the thing I like about the Bucs, though, is I like Bucky Irving, and I like that three-headed monster of wide receivers. They just added Emeka Egbuka in the draft. And normally the offensive line's solid. Now, with Worst on, how does that change?
That's right. They were
Chiefs
number
definitely
5.
Declining. Rams struggled to stop the run, but
they were number 5 in PFF. And now with Worst out, they're clearly
I think 3-1 in that opening 4. I think, I would be very happy with 3-1. I think 2-2 would be the floor. Jason A-Team checks in. He says, technically, Jalen and the Eagles sell more tickets because they have more games to play in the playoffs. How you doing? Jordan Brand is bigger than the Cowboys. That's true.
Jordan Brand is bigger than the Cowboys. So you think that Jordan Brand is bigger than $10 billion? Probably so. I would think so.
Jordan Brand's annual revenue is $7 billion, so that would make them worth more than $10 billion.
Because the Cowboys, I think, are valued at $10.5 billion.
Yeah, and that's probably light. If they hit the open market, the Cowboys would probably get $12-13 billion. Hangry Dogs again. Thank you, Hangry. He says, how is covering Jalen's deficiencies not a rip? Sills is talking out both mouths and mostly his ass.
Okay, well, here. This is what I just got through saying here, man. Once again, here's one thing that's true. They lowered the volume of passing. They got a running game and they ran the ball, like Xander said. Every quarterback has
a troll respected a nice troll.
Let me throw this at you. I think he's a fucking douchebag. At the end of the day here, Tom Brady had deficiencies. You know what that was? Internal pressure. That's why the check down game became efficient for him, and that's why he threw the checkdowns. He didn't throw long passes. Why? He was afraid of internal pressure. I don't know. Brady had a hole, and he had a blind spot in his game too. That was internal pressure. I don't know what. Hey, Guy, thanks for the super. Appreciate it. Guy.
It's Theo. That's my boy Theo. Come on, man. Jason A-Team gifts 5 memberships. Whoa. A-Team, thank you, brother. We got a bunch of gifted memberships this morning on Birds. Now we got 5 more here on Sileo Show. Thank you, A-Team. I appreciate that, my man. One of our greatest supporters is Jason A-Team. Theo again says, what's the rule that prevents us from doing both? Jalen over 4K and running a game, Barkley, Shipley, and Dillon over 2K. I don't know if that's.
I don't think there's anything to that. I think there's just going to be in-game situational approach.
Yeah, right. I don't think that.
I don't really think it's going to be anything.
I don't know if there's that many yards to go around. I mean, how many yards does a team get in a given year? I don't know, 6,000 yards.
Do you think he's going to throw for over 450 attempts this year?
Last year he was what, 350 a year? 361, and I think at his peak he was 550 or 540.
Yep, that was 23.
I think 450 might be the over-under. Might be the sweet spot. Probably 425, 430.
425? 425 should get him over 4K.
I don't know
425
if
should
that's
get him
over
there.
4K. I think that's right in the 3,500 number probably.
Depending on
I don't know,
what
it depends.
depending, Xander, what that defense looks like early. You think the defense struggles early? Or do you think it's going to be more on the offense to maintain the time of possession to get
So
that?
when I was given a master class and I got cut out, part of what I said was they could have a slow start defensively because, I mean, think about it. The young guys could have, I don't know if you heard all that when I was talking about the young guys, how they have some different things that could take the first 4 weeks. But I also think on the flip side of that, where you have the most experienced coordinator in football in Vic Fangio, he has shown that he needs a couple weeks to figure out where he wants guys, who he wants playing where, when he wants them there, how much he wants them there. And I think all of those things are going to come into play. So I think it's not just players. I actually think there's going to be a Fangio element where is Makuba ready? Is Jahad Campbell ready? Where's Nakobe Dean in the mix? Who's playing good where? I think Vic Fangio is going to have his chessboard like moving pieces everywhere. So I think that could potentially
What do you think?
scale up a little bit.
Has as a first year starter, who has the most pressure, do you think, on that defensive side of the ball?
First year starter, probably Ringo or the safety. I mean, I think you could make the argument. I don't know. Does Nolan Smith count as a first year starter?
No.
Yeah, because I would say him if he counted.
Because to me, I think it's going to be more if he can hold up. Not he's answered the talent question, which I wasn't sure because we just didn't see it. Vic brought the best out of him for sure, and to me, it's just going to be more about whether or not it's long. You know what I mean? That he can hold up. It really is. It's going to come down whether or not he can hold up. That's how I'm going to look at it. How he can hold up.
Hangry says, "This is Mad Dio. Dio, I recognize you. I see the JAKIB shirt in the picture, but Big Sill
that's Dio. My bad, dude.
Big Sill has called you. What'd you call him?
I don't even remember, man.
I got you. I crushed you today, and now you're mad at the chat.
You had no take that mattered to me.
My internet was barely working. I still crushed your ass.
It was terrible.
I had your aunt coming in for backup to save your ass. I was beating your ass so bad.
Worst segment you've ever had. Worst segment I've ever heard.
East Coast Rico says, what player on defense needs a Pro Bowl season for us to be top 3 defense besides Jalen Carter? Nolan Smith, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon, and Zach Bourne again.
Zach. You see they ranked Zach third best linebacker in football? I think that's a great spot for him.
That's crazy.
You got him behind Warner. Dude, you're behind Warner.
Warner and who? Roquan?
Bro,
I'm good with that.
That's fabulous shit, man. You have no worries about him taking a step back.
No, I don't think I have. Well, statistically, I think it's inevitable he takes a step back. But I think with that player, you need him to be great, play in and play out. Doesn't mean I need stats, and I think they'll come naturally. But if he has a 10% reduction in stats, but he's still the dominant force or the stable player that he is at linebacker, I think you overcome it, So what's the matter? Is Kurt reaching out to you?
No, I'm going to say you can log on now. So, yeah, hopefully he can do that there. Hurts is top 5, but Sills talks like he's bottom 5. I tell you every time we got him in my top 5. He's not in my bottom 5. He's not in my bottom 5. I do not have Jalen Hurts. And I said from February 10th to this moment, I've been exceptionally consistent that guy will never be out of my top 5 right now because of accomplishments that he's accomplished. Okay? And the least amount of yards he throws for, the better. Because that means
he's top 3.
What's that?
He's top 3, and he's not number 3.
That is ridiculous, but sure. Okay, I mean, like I said, there's no debating that with people who think that because nobody in their right mind. And again, that was a good one. If you had to start your team, who'd be your top 3? Who'd be your top 3 quarterbacks?
Mahomes, Hurts, Allen. Done.
Okay.
I think Allen's overcome the most with his circumstance. I think if you look at his playoff losses, he's actually the guy that played the best in every loss. I mean, that one loss I always think about. 13 seconds left. The guy he marches you down, gives you a lead over the Chiefs in the playoff, in the AFC Championship game, and leave it to Sean McDermott to blow to 13 seconds. And Mahomes comes down in 12 seconds and gets a touchdown. I mean, oh my gosh. I still think about that playoff game. Those are my three, though.
Okay.
Wait, we got one more true super chat before Kurt.
All right.
Z, you got to do a better job at making J-Mac say stop it. I do, East Coast. I will try and do that, but J-Mac is a tough cookie to crack, my friend. He's not like Big Sills. I can get under Big Sills' skin. All you got to do is say Jalen Hurts.
Not with any of those takes today, you can't. I mean,
yeah, unfortunately,
that was an easy day today, man. I want to
say when your aunt has to come in for backup in the chat, you know it's bad. You know it's a bloodbath for you, Big Sills.
I know. Yeah, I got it. Hey, man. Bro,
I'm out of here, my friend.
We'll be watching at Birds 365 in the morning. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Guys, I appreciate you guys coming aboard. Now, listen, I gave you guys a special today because of the All-Star game tonight. Now, I don't know if the All-Star game is as, for me, when I grew up watching the All-Star game, the National League guys, they never saw each other, or the American League guys never saw each other unless it was the All-Star game or a World Series. See, to me, interleague play, I hate it. I think you take away from that game and the competitive edge of that game. I liked it when those guys only saw each other in the World Series or in the All-Star game. Because to me, I would want to beat the American League, or I'd want to beat the National League. And when you watch those games, they were so competitive. Guys would get on the mound and want to throw 9 innings. You wanted to strike the side out when you had your shot and your turn to get in the rotation. Now, home run derbies, it's all good. I don't know. Maybe Curt Schilling's going to say something completely different on this. Maybe he likes the festivities. I just know this. Something's missing with the game. And maybe it's because those guys cared more, or I sound like, oh, man, get off my lawn. Without further ado, truly one of the greatest arms of all time, one of the greatest big game pitchers of all time, our friend Curt Schilling. I'm so glad he's aboard with us here. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, D?
Am I off base, or am I sounding like, oh man, get off?
Well, I will say this: the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is the last and only true All-Star game in sports. It's the only sport you can't play at 50%. So the competition is real, right? You're going to have Mizorowski throwing 100 to somebody. You're going to have Skubal and Skeens going max out and all the things that go. That's why I love it. I remember Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds of a home run, which screwed Bud Selig because the game ended tied. But of that part, I love it. My feelings about the All-Star game evolved from a young player. Oh my God, I can't wait to get there. It was the greatest experience of my life. I soaked it all in. I had a blast. To the last time I got picked, I said I was an alternate pick, and I said, nah, you know what? I'll take the 4 days off. And going from early on, and I think we talked about this a while back. I get tired of the All-Star games in all the sports, and then the Hall of Fame days in all the sports being all about who didn't. Right. I mean, it's who didn't get picked. And, with the Mizorowski thing, you got Castellanos and the guys on the Phillies, which, again, that's a player defending his teammates. I have no problem with them sounding off and all. But at the end of the day, the All-Star game is 100% about the fans. And so I love the Clayton Kershaw thing this year. I mean, you remember 99 when Ted Williams came on the field. I mean, other All-Star games don't really have those moments. And I think what the NHL did with the Four Nations this year is going to take the other sports, all the other sports, possibly in a different direction. I know there's already talk about the MLB competing in the 2030 Olympics. The WBC couldn't be held at a worse time for players' health and for the game. So but no, I mean, it's a fans thing, and I understand that, appreciate that, and enjoy it for what it is.
Do you have a great moment for you that, I mean, one of the cool things for me when I got a chance to be around, I went to a Pro Bowl. I wasn't named to one, but I went to a Pro Bowl, and I got to sit on the bench with Walter Payton. I got a chance to talk with him. I got a chance to talk to LT. I'm talking with some of these guys, and I'm just learning and just listening to these guys talking. I mean, was there a moment like that for
yeah.
you, Kurt,
I have two moments. Well, I have a bunch of moments. You know, I was honored and privileged enough to be in 6 of them. My first one was in '97 when it came. You know, we're near the trade deadline, and there was a lot of rumors about me getting traded to Cleveland, and the All-Star game was in Cleveland. So I got like a 3-day SEC recruiting trip. From the limo driver to the people at the hotel selling me on moving to Cleveland and playing in Cleveland. And I got a standing O from an American League audience and I got to bring my son, you know, and then I remember sitting in the All-Star game, the locker room with Tony Gwynn, Barry Bonds, Greg Maddux, and John Schmaltz talking, pitching, and hitting. And I'm sitting there going, God, as much as I talk, I just need to shut up right now. This is unbelievable. And really soaking that in. And my favorite on the field moment was in 02, the day before the All-Star game. I was mic'd up and I was starting, and I went to A-Rod in batting practice, and I said, hey, dude, if you come up tomorrow with nobody on, I'm going to throw you nothing but fastballs. And he's like, what? I said, I just want to see if I can get a fastball hitter out with fastballs, the best hitter in the world, if he knows it's coming. He's like, all right. And then he came up with 2 outs and nobody on, and I threw him 3 fastballs. And that was like my favorite moment. Yeah.
Do you like interleague play? Do you think interleague play is good for the game? Do you like it? Because, again, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I hated the wild card. I hated all non-traditional things when I came up because I grew up a fan of the traditional game. But it worked. And it was amazing, and it made baseball better. And, you know, so a lot of the thing, you know, there are some really dumb things in the game, right? The pickoff rule is stupid, and you know, the runner on second base I don't agree with, and all that other stuff. But the game has gotten shorter, and it's gotten more watchable, and the game is growing. The game is doing phenomenal right now. So, you know, I was never a fan of interleague play because I always liked the fact that we all played the same schedule in our division and the same opponents. And so the winner was the winner, and, you know, things like that. But, you know, and the World Series was all about seeing 2 teams play and two you know, group of players never having seen each other, which was unique and different. But, you know, we're so far past that now. It kind of stinks, but it is, you know, it is what it is.
I had a conversation with 2 dudes, and I want to bring what they both said about the game today. So I asked Bobby Valentine what he thought of baseball today, and he said this: it's a watered-down league. There's not a lot of good baseball players. The footprints on what made great organizations great with their minor league systems, you just see so many young guys in the game right now. It's really watered down. There's not really a lot of great teams outside of the Dodgers, in his opinion, Kurt. And he thought it was really watered down. Is he right in your opinion? When you look at today's game?
I think that there's an enormous load of incredibly talented players who are generational. No one's ever seen an Ohtani before. You know, Trout's getting back to himself. Unfortunately, he kind of took the Ken Griffey Jr. career path. But, I mean, Skubal and Skeens and Zach Wheeler and Bryce Harper and Acuna and on and on and on and on. Baseball always has, it's like football in a sense that there are phases, right? You go through the 90s phase when every first baseman was an all-star, Frank Thomas and Jeff Bagwell and Mark McGwire and all those guys. And then you go through the shortstops, Garcia Parra and A-Rod and Jeter. And, you know, now, you know, you can find a true star in almost every city. But he's right. The game has changed. Pitching is so broken in baseball from little league to the big leagues. Pitching has gotten broke, and it's a byproduct. And what the byproduct is, what you're seeing. You're seeing 5-inning starters. You're seeing a massive increase in arm injuries, and you're seeing it's broken. It's horribly broken right now, and that came with the love of velocity. And the fact is, you know, you're watching games now where closers are walking 4 guys in an inning and blowing a lead. Mariano Rivera walked 4 guys in a month. I mean, you know, but pitching, throwing the ball hard has become the axiom, and it's really hard to watch because pitching is an art. Like every professional player that plays a position in professional sports that is any good at what they do looks at their specific position as a true art, right? From an offensive lineman, understanding, noticing hand pressure on a defensive lineman. Is he blitzing? To all the little things, the nuances that make up being great at your position. Pitching is one of those, and it's horribly broken. And I was scouting the draft this year, and I scouted the top 20 pitching prospects, and I was just blown away by 20 years ago. You looked at 20 pitchers and you saw 18 deliveries with 19 different things here and there. Today, you look at 20 pitchers, you'll see 19 guys throwing the ball the same exact way, and it's horrible. And I've even done some things for some organizations, and I went back to an organization, and I was trying to explain to them that they shouldn't have these kids in the big leagues. They're too high picks because they're in a bad situation. The kids aren't ready, yada, yada, yada. And I said something to the effect to an owner that, hey, listen, this kid's got a 70 ERA. And the owner replied to me, well, he had a couple bad outings. And I'm like, well, no. A 70 ERA is not a couple bad outings.
Yeah, no.
I said, but I went back and looked at this kid's video from junior college to the big leagues. He throws exactly the same today as he did in junior college. Every single person in his universe should be fired. And it's a lot of it is the money. You're spending $9 million on Paul Skeens. Coaches are going to be terrified of breaking that guy, of changing that guy. And as a coach, I was never, and as being coached, I had guys who were hands-on. And I'm watching these kids come to the big leagues. There's a kid yesterday that was picked, 4th round pick from the Yankees. I want to say, Pico Cone. He was taken out of Mississippi State. He's coming off Tommy John surgery. And I'm watching this kid throw in high school and in college. And he's the same pitcher in college he was in high school. And I'm like, first off, that's a warning. He's a max effort, stand tall, throw as hard as I can guy. And I'm thinking to myself, my takeaway was, I don't have a problem with the draft pick as long as you're going to put him in an organization that's going to say, hey, listen, kid, we're going to start from here. You're a long way from the big leagues. Here's what we need to fix. Here's what we need to do. And here's how we need to do it. If you're going to have an organization, if he's going to show up 4 years from now in the big leagues, you're going to have a situational lefty who's going to spend more time on the DL than he is on the roster. Wow. And it's sport wide.
That sounds to me a lot like when you're drafted in the NFL. If you got to go to the right situation. Well, I mean, it's like trying to change a player, like a 3-technique defensive tackle. You draft him for a nose, and you look at the guy. You ever played nose? No, I've never played nose. I don't even know the technique, how to play the nose. So it really is where you are drafted.
Well,
let me ask you.
No, hold on, Dan. That's a great point, because this disparity in the Major League draft is immense, because in the NFL, you're drafting for positions of need, right? Because the player you're drafting is going to be on the field playing that year. In Major League Baseball, you don't ever draft for need, because nobody should, for the most part, is near the big leagues. So you're drafting, in most cases, you draft the best available player. But you do so with an old school Cardinals-Orioles mentality. The Cardinals and Orioles were the two best I ever saw. They made baseball players in the minor leagues. Hey, we do it this way in Baltimore, the Baltimore way. The Cardinals churn out baseball players, and that's gone. It's sabermetrics, and listen, I'm a proponent on combining them and all the things that go with that, but it's lost. These kids are getting drafted for exit velocity, bat speed, rotation, spin rate, and stuff like that, and the nuance of pitching is lost.
That's funny you say that, because Gary Templeton told me this. I'm great friends with Gary Templeton, and he grew up in the Cardinal organization. And he said this: when I got drafted and I went to A-ball, every single thing that I did in A-ball, I did in AA, I did in AAA. And when I got to the big leagues and I walked into the dugout when Whitey was in there, it was the same thing that I did my entire process in my development. I knew what they would expect when I showed up at the ballpark. He said to me, he goes, the number one thing organizations fail at, players show up at the ballpark today, they don't know what their role is. He said organizations like you were saying with Baltimore back in the day, I even thought the Mets had a great pitching organization back from like the 70s all the way through to the 90s. They had a pretty good one too when you're talking about all the arms that they developed, Kurt. I mean, you're saying they've lost that now?
Oh yeah, no, it's gone. Like I said, it's sport wide. It's in little league, it's in college, it's in high school. It's all about velocity. And my thing is, you give me Johnny Padres told me this one thing. He said, "You give me an arm, I'll make you a pitcher." And that has fallen by the wayside. They're just drafting arms, and I knew that because when I was looking at, listen, there's a team that I played for that took a kid in the first round I wouldn't have drafted in the draft.
Oh my God.
Simply because I'm watching him, and in my lifetime, I've seen two guys in my life that could throw the way he throws and that were healthy. And neither one of them ever had good fastball command. But they're looking, and that's when I knew. I'm watching this list of players and the rankings for the draft from the quote unquote experts. Basically, it was hardest thrower to not hardest thrower. And yeah, some of these guys have good breaking balls and all this other stuff, but I'm seeing guys like Doyle and Arnold and Anderson, and people are saying they're big league ready. They're not even close to big league ready. I get it. They're phenomenal. And that's not to take anything away from these kids. They're phenomenal, potential Hall of Fame talents, but they're going to be the same pitcher I was scouting when they get to the big leagues. And that kid, so I always use it like this. When I was in baseball, and for the most part, it was always like this. You got promoted when you mastered the level. You go to rookie ball, you have a good year. You go to A ball, you have a good year. You go to double A, you have a good, that. And so when you get to triple A, you've got a toolbox full of tools that you've learned from, you get to, I can compete here. I can compete here. These guys I got to the big leagues. I drove home after my first call up with an ERA close to 10. And in my mind, I was saying to myself, okay, I'm not ready, but I can do this eventually. Because I had a toolbox of things that I had been taught that I knew would translate. These kids are showing up in the big leagues with no toolbox. And I can't think of a worse environment to try and teach a young pitcher than on a losing team, and the kid's got 150 minor league innings in. Damn. Like I had multiple almost 200 inning seasons in the minor leagues. I threw 8 or 10 complete games multiple different years. And I'll tell you, my favorite kid, the kid I would have taken in the first round with any pick would have been the kid that Padres took, Cruz Schoolcraft. 6'8" left-hander, high school or mid-90s, very advanced delivery for a high school kid, but he's still 4 years away, right? And in my mind, he's 17, 18 now. You bring him to rookie ball this year, you send him to Instruction League where you get hands-on with him and you kind of work the details. He goes to A ball next year at 19. He goes to double A at 20. He goes to triple A at 21. Maybe he spends a year and a half in double A and a year and a half in triple A. Either way, you've got a big league, bona fide, teachable, ready to go ace at 22 who's going to pitch for 15 years.
I love it. Let me ask you about the Phillies. How do you think the Phillies did in the draft?
I mean, listen, you can't punch out 19 in a World Series no hitter and not be on everybody's radar. I mean, the kid that they took has got a phenomenal arm. I like him. I like almost all the pitchers if you're going to draft them and develop them. But that's not what's happening anymore. There is no draft and develop. It's a race to the big leagues, and the only people getting hurt are the pitchers and the game. That's why you're seeing this enormous proliferation of injuries in throwing arms because the body can't do that. Listen, if Jacob deGrom could have stayed healthy, he would have been the best pitcher anybody alive ever saw.
Wow. He
had Greg Maddox's command with Pedro Martinez stuff.
Insane.
But if you watched him, he was kind of a max effort guy. The body's not built to do that. You can't play at 100 miles an hour every pitch. And that's just, it's lost. It's been completely lost in the game.
Zach Wheeler.
Oh.
I'll tell you this. I didn't realize, Kurt, when you look at the years that he has been putting together here, I mean, those ERAs are like Kershaw stuff.
Hey,
I mean, have you been surprised?
No. When that free agent signing happened that year with the Phillies, I said that was the biggest free agent signing of the winter by a landslide. People ask me, and I say this very loosely. They ask, what pitcher in the game today do you think least is most like you? And Zach Wheeler's the kind of guy that I felt I certainly didn't have his level of stuff, but that was the guy for me. That innings eating, top of the rotation. Give me a game, you got to win. I want him on the mound kind of mentality. I love watching him pitch, and they're going to get every penny of that contract out of him, no matter what he does from here on out.
Man, he is something else. You mentioned Kershaw with the and I liked it too. The commissioner putting him on the team. Tell me something, Kurt, because you were spectacular in the postseason. This guy's ERAs and they're insane. And I think we were talking to Bob Nightingale the other day. And I told Bob Nightingale, we're never going to see a 300-game winner ever again because guys don't go 5 2/3 any longer. It's more about what the Rays did with the openers,
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you're never going to see that. Do you agree with that? I mean, and
yeah.
I look at Kershaw and say this. Why do I feel this? Boy, what a great pitcher. Spectacular. But, man, when it came to really mattering in the postseason, Kurt, he wasn't you.
Well,
I'm taking you a 9-inning ball game. I have to win a game 7. That's who I'm looking at. Madison Baumgartner, guys like that. 9 innings. I need game 7. Is Kershaw the guy you're putting on the hill?
No. And listen, let's back up. He's probably twice the human he is the pitcher. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame pitcher. I love the guy. I love everything about him. October's a different game. It's just a different game.
Why is it a different game? Because
here's the analogy. Here's the analogy I would use. In comparison to football, October is to compare October baseball to regular baseball, comparing playoff football to regular football. Playoff football is a 2-minute drill for 4 quarters, right?
Yeah.
In October, so back up. In the 9th inning of a baseball game, in a 1-0 game, every hitter is grinding out every single pitch of every at-bat. It's why the last 3 outs of a game are hardest to get when a game is close, right? Every single at-bat in October is that way. Every hitter is grinding every pitch of every at-bat. That's the difference. And then, so you take that peak athlete and you either elevate your game, which only a few people can do, or you squeeze the bat harder and the guy that elevates his game takes advantage of you. And you recognize who those guys are and you take advantage of them. But October baseball is you have to win 11 games that are played in the 9th inning with the tying run on 3rd every at bat from the pitcher's mentality. That's how I always looked at it from pitching.
Let me ask you this. So Kurt, when you're getting ready for a ball game, in the postseason, is every pitch, do you guys go over every pitch? You have a book on a guy, obviously, because you have it either in your mind or you actually have a book on a guy. If you're gonna address it, you sit down with your catcher, right? And you go over the approach of each and every single at bat with a guy. Guys even sitting on the pine who they may sub in that bring in, right? You're sitting down. So in the postseason, is it different than the regular season, or is it the same routine that you have in the postseason?
It's the same routine you have in the post for me. And that was why on my first start in spring training, I had a game day routine. I left for the park 5 hours before the first pitch, and everything I did on my game day was at the exact same minute. People call it superstition or whatever, but here's the advantage I had. On February 28th, when I'm starting against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Red Barons in an inter-squad game in spring training, my whole day is exactly like a start in April. When I get to September and October and I'm playing in playoff baseball, the only thing that changes is the pitches I throw during the game. Every single thing, every out is always the same. So it's not, oh my God, it's playoff baseball. I knew I was going to have the adrenaline and the crowd and all the things that go with that. My day was just exactly the same. I left for the park 5 hours before. I got to the park. I did my stretching. I did my had my pregame meeting with my catcher and my pitching coach, talked to my second baseman to manage my defense. Nothing changed. So I always wanted my office, my workplace to be, I never, that we athletes have it, that miss the bus panic. Right? right? I never wanted to feel that on the day I pitched. So when I'm preparing for a game in the National League, I'm looking at, on Monday, after I finish shutting somebody out, I'm looking at Tuesday's box scores because I want to know on Saturday, the day game, are the Padres going to catch their starter or is the backup going to catch because it's a day game? If they is going to catch, I need to study him, both of them. Who's the left-handed bat off the bench that I'm going to see in the 7th inning if it's a tight game? So I wasn't ready for the 8 guys in the lineup. I was ready for about 12 or 13 guys. And I got, as I developed that whole program, it just became second nature to me. And more importantly, I use this loosely. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady got buy-in because they were so committed to the game, right? You never questioned it because Brady had watched all the film, Peyton had watched all the film, and all the things that go with that. Those games are played differently by the guys around them. I wanted my day to be different. I wanted everybody to be invested in my day. And I'll remember I was talking, and we were Luis Gonzalez was playing left field one day, and I went to him and I said, listen, when Tony Gwynn comes up, here's where I want you. And he's like, well, what if he hits a ball over my head? And I said, well, if he hits a ball over my head, that's my fault. But I'm putting you where I think he's going to hit the ball. And he was like, really? I was like, I'm taking accountability for all of it because it's the W goes next to my name or the L. and so I wanted my team, and I got the feeling that was the case. My teammates had buy-in because they knew my day was different.
Yeah, Kurt, tell me this, man. I asked Doug Williams when you were walking off the field, when you won the Super Bowl and you knew you were going to win the MVP award, what was your initial thought? He thought about the journey and the people that had helped him get to where he was and all the things that helped him. I'm wondering for you, when you're on the hill like that and you're closing the Yankees out and you're in one of those series and you're in one of those moments, and I mean, what was that like being in those series?
The feeling in this sense. Until the last out is made, nothing is a loss.
Correct.
Until the clock hits 0, the game ain't
right.
over. So I was always in a situation where I was so focused on delivering the pitch I was making I didn't think about that. Oh my God, we have a chance to be world champions. I think one of the only times I ever in my head had a oh my God moment was when Soriano hit the home run off me in Game 7 in 01. And I turned around. For some reason, I turned to the left instead of the right, and the visitors' bullpen's in the right field side. And I saw Mariano getting up, taking his jacket off. And my first thought in my head was, I just lost the World Series.
Oh my God.
And I was like, after all with 9-11, everything had been, I'm perfect through 6 innings. I've only faced 18 hitters. Now, an hour later, I'm the losing pitcher in the World Series. Like, I just remember that being just caving in on me. And then, I came out of the game, and I remember Brenly coming to the mound. And he's like, that run's not going to beat us, my big man. And I was like, okay, I hope you're right.
Do you, with those type of games, is it like, to me, when you're in championship type football games or championship moments, the air just seems lighter. There are more things, your sensories are out more.
Well,
everything is way more hypersensitive when you're in the moment.
But when you're a professional athlete and you're good at what you do,
you're calm. You're calm. Again.
Well, yeah, because you're in your 3-point stance. You're not thinking about anything other than your technique. I've got to block this. I got to cover this gap. I got to pull this side. It's the instinctive, intuitive part of being a professional athlete. People, that's why I said people just can't understand the speed of the game. They don't understand the speed of the mentality. Like the things that I process, I had 50 different pre-pitch thoughts every single pitch, but I processed 48 of them because they were relevant, and I could get to the 2 that mattered.
I asked Tim Kirchin this question the other day: who's a better ball player, Barry Bonds or Shohei Ohtani? And he said Bonds is one of the top 4 left-hand hitters that has ever played, but Ohtani will go down as truly one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. Kurt, who do you believe? Do you believe that?
Oh, let's be very clear. Barry Bonds might be the greatest hitter, though. Really, certainly wasn't the best baseball player. His Gold Gloves were because he could hit. He didn't win Gold Gloves because he was a great left fielder, and by any stretch.
That arm, not really. His arm.
He wasn't a great defender. Not at all. I mean, not that he wasn't good, but he wasn't a Hall of Fame caliber. Like there have been many better all around players. But as far as a hitter goes, no one could touch Barry when he was going well. I mean, Ohtani is a unicorn. I mean, we've never seen, the only thing we've ever seen is the rumors of Babe Ruth, right? I mean, and Ruth never did it to the level. Ruth wasn't a starting pitcher hitting cleanup for years. I mean, Shohei is the ace of the staff, and he's the best hitter maybe in the league. I mean, come on, like it's ridiculous. But he's there, and that's why I said there's a lot of guys out there right now. This is a generation full of guys that could be the best you've ever seen. That's why, I totally disagree with what Bobby said. I don't think the game's watered down. I think the game's harder to watch because the fundamentals are lost in a lot of ways. But there's still some players that are going to be generational.
Gary Sheffield said this to me. He goes, the only problem that he has with today's game is, like you keep mentioning Tony Gwynn, and I had a chance. I was the Padres pre- and post-game show guy. And I get to become great friends. I mean, one year I think he struck out 12 times,
right?
Which is insane. The walk of shame of today is one thing that Sheffield says that really still aggravates him. I mean, you look at Kyle Schwarber, he's going to have 250 plus strikeouts this season, hit 216, but have 46 home runs and have probably 100 RBIs. And you sit there and you go, I don't know, Kurt, during your time, man. I mean, if you took the walk of shame, that was something players get.
Well,
Sheffield said it too. He's like, hey, man, nobody wanted to see 125 strikeouts next to their name.
Right, now, but we had them, right? We had them. We had Cecil Fielder. You had Dave Kingman. You had George Foster. You had Reggie. I mean, every generation's had them. Now, but now everybody strikes out 100 times, which just screams at the elite pitchers striking out more guys than they ever have, because
that's what Kurt said too. Kurt, he said that the pitching today in baseball is the greatest time in the history of the game, because he's talking about the velocity of it.
Right.
Not like you said, the technique of it, but the velocity of the game right now, because guys are being brought in for 2 2/3. They're not going in 9 2/3 like you, or 7 2/3 like you would back in the day. So he said the velocity was the highest that it's ever.
Well, if you were to give Paul Skeens command of his fastball, and he was to pitch 7 or 8 innings a game, he might strike out close to 400 guys.
Wow.
I mean, if you watch Paul Skeens, he's a guy who he's a max effort guy, and he has command in the sense that he throws a lot of strikes, but he doesn't have command inside the strike zone. A lot of these guys don't. Skubal is a guy who's got a more polished finish, but and I pray none of this ever comes to fruition. But I said 400 or 500 innings on my I was under that number for Paul Skeens in surgery. I just don't think physically you can do that. I don't think you can do it to your body. I know he works his ass off. I don't want to see him get hurt. Obviously, I want to see him do well. I want to see him. I love watching power guys, but his delivery isn't built to throw 230 innings, and the human body can't. The human body has never been able to sustain that, and it's certainly not going to change now. And you've got all these clinics now that are out there teaching velocity at the cost of pitching. I've had a lot of thoughts about getting back into the game, and one of the things that I'm looking at is I would love to take over an organization's pitching, from scouting, drafting, developing to big leagues. Very few teams are doing it right. And I just look around the big leagues and watch guys pitch to know that they're not. And, let me give you a great example. Nick Abel came up and beat Paul Skeens 1-0. And it was a phenomenal game, right? And so I went back the next day and I watched every single pitch of the game. And almost 80% of Abel's pitches were in the middle box of the strike zone, which is a no-no. However, when you come to the big leagues and you have plus stuff and hitters don't know you get away with a lot of things inside the strike zone you're eventually not going to get away from. And I said the next day, I said, Nick Abel right now, first of all, he's not ready for the big leagues. But right now, on Monday, he can go out 7, punch out 13. He's with the same stuff on Saturday, he can go 3 1/3 and walk 6, because he's still a thrower. And he had some insanely low number of innings in the minor leagues. He's not ready. And it's okay. Like I said, he had like 150 innings in the minor leagues. It's just absurd to me. And it, like I said, it's so broken right now for so many teams, and it's costing these teams billions of dollars in health. And it's made pitching so different, so less interesting in that sense. And I know it's not a horrible choice, but I'll give you an example. I watched the game a couple months ago, the Padres. Suarez closed with the Padres. He walked like 5 guys in the 9th inning. And the outs he got because people were chasing. He was throwing 100 though. And every pitch was, oh, look at that, 101, ball 1. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, 98, ball 2. And it was like, and everybody, and listen, I was caught up in it with the gun in a sense, but never at the cost of command of my fastball. You know, when I reached back and gave 110% on a pitch, I get 4 or 5 miles an hour. These guys are reaching back to get 1 or 2 or none or losing it. And Maddox said something I thought was brilliant. If you're watching 2 cars drive down the road, can you tell which one's going 90 and which one's going 91? No. But if you're watching a car go 90 and a car go 96, you can tell.
That's right.
Like if you're gonna max effort, you got to get 4 or 5 miles out of it. And these guys, that's not what's happening. These guys are max effort every pitch, and it's just really hard to watch.
Couple last ones here for you, Kurt. The Phillies, can they win it this year? In your opinion, do you think they have a chance to win this?
Absolutely. I mean, don't let Aaron Nola come back and be his old self. I mean, my God, with Suarez and Chris, I mean, I love what they've done. They have their game 1 guy. I mean, I think you got to go old school in the sense that I think you got to have Wheeler in 1 and 5, and if you go 7, you got to have Wheeler in 1, 4, and 7. But yes, absolutely. It's going to come back to like everything else. Baseball, like football in a sense, is a game of attrition. The schedule is this long marathon, and you could make an argument right now that the 2 most disappointing teams in baseball are the Brewers and the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Nothing crushes a losing streak like the All-Star break or a winning streak. And
I know the Red Sox have won 10 in a row.
But you know how hard it is when you had a bye week, right? If you didn't have a good coaching staff, you didn't have good coaches, it was, you're still 12 days removed from your last snap. It takes a couple, it's going to take, unless Crochet goes out and punches out 15 to start the second half, or they have a monster comeback win opening night, it's hard to regenerate that.
Man, Dodgers, in your opinion, Dodgers and Phillies maybe in the NLCS? Is that what you're seeing?
Absolutely. Well, it could be any of them. I don't sleep on the Cubs. I mean, they're legit. And, it gets back to where's Ohtani going to be from a pitching perspective when the playoffs roll around? Not that they need him to win, but that's going to certainly present a different team. We all thought the Dodgers were going 162-0 this year. And we clearly, anybody that has a sense knew that wasn't going to happen. But, they've had injuries like everybody else. I think if I'm thinking that I could get to the World Series this year, the only team I don't want to say I'm afraid of, but I don't want to see the Tigers. I mean, I don't want to have to face Tariq Skubal 3 times in a 7-game series because I'm not beating him. Right. I mean, I can't wait to see what he does in October. But the guy and that's always going into the postseason. Max Fried, that one who can beat you twice. You go into a series and okay, we're not going to win these 2 games because this guy's pitching. And in Arizona, we had RJ and I, and it was like, okay, well, it's a best of 4. We're winning 4, so I'm not sure how how this is going to play for you.
How much of a competition was it between you and Randy?
Oh, it's insane for me. Like
really?
Absolutely, because and it was the good competitive. Did
he know it?
I'm sure he did, and Randy had never won 20 games as a starting pitcher before we played together.
Huh.
So I know in some sense he won 20 in Seattle, but he got his 20th kind of vulture win in the sense. But I knew. Even though he wouldn't, I think he was resentful when we played that people thought that because he was like, I was my own guy before he got here. And that's fine. Maybe I didn't do anything for him, but I know he did a ton for me. And I always and it was always the good one, right? I wanted him to pitch great because I wanted to pitch greater. I didn't want him, I played with guys who were like, God, I hope you suck tomorrow. You know, like guys who were like, I want to do better than you, but I wanted you to suck so I can do good. Like, and I was always, I wanted, because I was every fifth day, I had a chance to see something I'd never seen before. Guy struck out 20 in 9 innings and got a no decision for
Was
crying
it
out loud.
adversarial?
No, never. Only on the golf course. Which he never beat me on the golf course. So no. We were fine. We golfed together all the time. We were just very different.
How about you and Pedro?
No. That was more of a Dan Shaughnessy make a wish than anything. I mean, he wanted us to hate each other, and he wanted, because Dan is such a hack and so insanely bad at what he does that he needs a story to write itself. I mean, once we broke the curse, he was screwed. Right? His whole life was built on that. But no, because I mean, Pedro
Dan Shaughnessy either, man. I can't stand.
No, he's an idiot. But the more important thing was that I read. People say, "Oh, you were never the number one on those two staffs." Well, you're right. I wasn't. Those two guys are in the Hall of Fame. I was okay being 1A because I knew when I got the ball, I could be every bit as good as they were.
Kurt. You can't. There's no way with the record you have.
Well, no, but again, Randy Johnson won 4 straight Cy Youngs, right? I would have had 2 if that bastard hadn't gone 21-0 in September 2 years in a row. But I would have never done the things I did without pitching with those guys. Never.
Holy cow, man! Your greatest accomplishment individually is what?
Winning the Roberto Clemente Award.
Huh? What year was this?
2001.
Why did that mean the most for you?
Because the award, in my opinion,
over the World Series co-MVP,
that award told people all about who I was outside of my uniform.
Huh?
And inside of my uniform, I know who I was. They could see who I was. My greatness or my ineptitude was there in data, but I lived my life in the sport, seeing, there's only so many Jason Starks and Tim Kirkchens and Rob Bradfords in the world, good, honest people that love this sport. Most of the rest of them are every bit as bad as the print media and anything else. They're just bad people, and they. You play 162 games in 181 days, and those lemmings are standing around the clubhouse every single day. And, content doesn't get created every day, but they still had to make it. And so people got an opinion of me in my career that I think was unjust. And, as much as I tried not to work, I hated the thought that people thought I was a selfish guy or a bad teammate or any of those things. The late Pedro Gomez wrote stuff about me that to this day I can't forget, and it was out of spite, and so that award
was it accessibility. I say this sometimes, Kurt, and I say this because I learned something about Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. They told me, both of them. They go like this, Sills. When I see the media, and you mentioned Pedro Gomez, and he goes, "Dan, when I grew up in a dugout where I saw racism towards my father, and also Ken Griffey Sr. saw him towards their father. Why would I not think the media guys had an agenda? Why would I be open and accessible to them? I'm not going to be." Did you have a little bit of that too?
Well, no, here's the problem with that.
Accessibility?
It's one thing to be inaccessible. It's another thing to treat people like shit.
Okay.
Right? And Barry was someone who treated people badly.
Yes.
And that was well known throughout the sport. I had the other problem. I was over accessible in the sense, and I learned this when I went there. I got traded to Arizona. I'll never forget this. There's a writer out there he was a clown named Dan Bickley. And he had written an article about what an asshole Matt Williams was because Matt never talked to the media. A couple weeks after that, he writes an article about me being an asshole because I never shut up. But right there, that's an unwinnable fight. So don't fight.
You can't win that.
No.
You're not winning that.
So I didn't fight it. I was honest with them, and I was accessible. I stood at my locker, win or lose, every single game. I answered the questions, and I was accountable for everything I did. I was a good teammate. I stuck up for my teammates, and That's who I was.
I gotta ask. You know what? Every single time I freaking get you on here, I am going to always ask you this. There is no way you're sitting in your home right now and you're not one pissed off MFing dude. Yeah, see, folks, he already knows where I'm going. And you know what? You have to be. Well, come on, man.
And I keep telling, I sincerely appreciate you feeling that way. I really do. And the people, I appreciate that and all the things that go with that. But if I get a plaque today, what changes in my life?
Nothing.
Right. The people that I played with aren't going to respect me more. I played the game. I told my wife, I wanted to play the game and I wanted to win the Roberto Clemente Award. And I wanted every guy I suited up with, if they had their family's life on the line, win or lose game, I wanted them to want me to have the ball. And those were the two things I played for. I feel like I got most of that. I've got my rings. I've got my trophies. A Hall of Fame plaque doesn't change those trophies or rings. Now, again, that's not to diminish what it is, because obviously the greatest players that ever lived are in there. There are also some of the worst human beings that have ever lived in there. And when the media, the writers want to call my character while voting in Bill Conlon, an alleged child molester, and they don't oust him, okay. I always use this, and I'm sure you do this too. Your disapproval, talking about these writers, your disapproval of me means I'm living life the right way.
Hey, I that's the way I start to look at things too. But I got to tell you, Kurt, I mean, if it's, were you political when you're not?
No. This all came about after.
So this was in that span of you getting eligible to become a Hall of Fame guy, where your political views became skewed towards these writers.
Right.
How can you even look at some of these guys and not just start laughing?
Okay, I don't have to anymore. I do laugh because they're miserable people. I've been around them. They're miserable people, and they have a reason to be, because of the and you, like I said, I told you this. There's a dynamic that exists in sports. It doesn't exist anywhere else. You've got college educated Dan Shaughnessy with his journalism degree making $100,000 a year, talking to a Dominican kid who speaks broken English, pulling down $30 million. Right. And you can feel that whole, because I was so accessible that some guys would come over to me and say things like in confidence, like they thought they were part of the team, and they were just as racist and despicable as people they didn't like. So,
bro, if I had a guy have to win 9, I had to go 9 and win me a game. I mean, I'm taking you, I'm taking Dave Stewart. Yeah. I'm taking dudes like that. Dave's got such great respect for you, man. He's like, Schilling's.
They're all good. Well, and those were the guys that those were the guys that taught me. I mean, Dave Stewart, very good pitcher.
Postseason.
Took it to another level in October.
Yeah.
And you have to.
Great. Hey, listen, thank you for putting me on that chain with your family. That was really special.
Yep.
And I really appreciate you, and I can't thank you enough. What's the dog's name?
This is Aria. Aria has epilepsy. She's part of my animal rescue. I wanted to mention, dude, the Complete Game, my podcast. Every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, I'm doing a podcast called The Complete Game with my son, who's on the thread with you. Yeah. And it's just baseball. We just talk baseball.
Hey, Kurt, thank you for bringing me into your life. I really mean that.
Always good to see you, my friend. Love you. You take care of yourself.
Love you too, Kurt. Thank you so much.
All right, Danny. Take care, buddy.
You bet. Kurt Schilling. Man, do I love that guy. Holy cow. You know what? If I had, let me say this. I would be an angrier man than he is. If somebody had had a chance to put me in the Hall of Fame, and you had this ideology about me not knowing me from a can of paint, that would really bug me. And I would not be as nice as him. Man, would I be an MFer? I'm telling you, I'd be the biggest, or I'd be a bigger asshole than I am already. I mean, you couldn't, dude, the shit that this guy did to win baseball games, getting out there on the mound. And you know what? I grew up a Yankee fan, and there he was on the hill, closing the Yankees out in that series. Okay? Man. No, it's not just about the Hall of Fame. Okay? What it's about is you got other people that have the faith of your career in hands of people. By the way, I can't believe you brought up Bill Collins' name. The disgraced Philadelphia writer who lived down in Clearwater, by the way, and ended up being found guilty of child molesting. They put that guy in the Hall of Fame. You realize that? And you keep guys like him at Bonds out. And you keep guys like Roger Clemens out. That was awesome. Absolutely great. We're going to reset. I got to take a timeout. I have not taken a timeout yet, believe it or not. We did that in honor of the All-Star game tonight. By the way, Bill Goldberg's going to be checking back with us soon. Got to give him a couple days, he said. So we're going to give Bill Goldberg a couple times. Still working on Roman Reigns. We have not forgotten. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan, folks, the number one injury law firm in the entire country for a reason. You know what that is? They win. Thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. By the way, we got a special thing coming up. We're going to be in Philadelphia, we believe, for the opener on September 4th. All courtesy of our friends at Morgan & Morgan, because that's going to be an iconic week, that week, when you got Cowboys and Eagles tipping off the NFL season. I cannot wait for that, too. So we may have plans being set up right now, and we'll give you more details on that as we get closer to the opener. I mean, like, what are we, like less than 50 some odd days away from the start of the season? We're like 7 days out, and we're looking forward to being involved with Morgan & Morgan here as we get into the National Football League season. Again, if you're ever injured, please do me a favor. Whether it's in an Uber or an insurance company not giving you your proper settlement, call Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/Big Sills or Pound Law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or Pound Law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sill sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Shells, hit the like button, guys. I appreciate you. Who is the greatest Eagle in the last quarter century? The last 25 years, who's the best Eagle? You see a lot of 25-year lists going up. So I thought I'd ask this question. If you had to pick one player in the last 25 years of the Philadelphia Eagles, pick one player. Let me give you a list. Lane Johnson, A.J. Brown, T.O., Barkley, Hurts, McNabb, Dawkins, Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. Reggie didn't play in the last 25 years. Neither did Eric Allen. In the last 25 years, who would be the best Eagle since 2000? Lane? Whew. Yeah, but Jason Peters is better. But we're talking career since 2000. Who's the best Philadelphia Eagle in the last 25 years? Who would you put in there? Shady. That's a good one. Shady McCoy. Dawkins all day. Barkley and T.O. You probably can't put them in there, right? Because there's really not careers. It's great. Like, Saquon Barkley's not one of the greatest Eagles of all time, is he? In your opinion? Barkley's not one of the greatest Eagles. Or is he? How do you define that? Is it career? Is it 1 year? Does it have to be a particular length of time? How can he be up there with 1 year? That means T.O.'s up there. Career. Okay, well then, Owens and Barkley are not part of the list of the greatest Eagles in the last 25 years. So you would immediately take those guys off that list. So let's pare it down. T.O. and Barkley are off that list. Can't put Jalen Carter in there. He's off that list. You can't put A.J. Brown in there. He's off that list. So you take T.O., Barkley, and A.J. Brown off that list. Now we're left with Lane. Is Hurts too early too? 5 years. Well, Hurts is off that list then. Okay, I happen to agree with this. 5 years. Well, Jalen's off that list. So now you got 8. Now you got Lane, McNabb, Dawkins, Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, and BG. Okay? McNabb, probably off that list. So now you're down to Dawkins, Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson. Who's the best Eagle out of that group? Hey, dude, I got it. Brian Westbrook, can make the argument he belongs on that list too. Absolutely. McNabb? I think McNabb's off that list. Who would I pick as the greatest Eagle in the last 25 years? Man, I really like Fletcher Cox. As far as I'm concerned, Brandon Graham is talent levels not near Fletcher, Kelsey, Dawkins, or Lane. But yet he's one of the most loved, right? Kickers aren't football players. Would you take Brandon Graham off that? I'm going to take BG off that. Now you're down to Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Brian Dawkins, and Lane Johnson. What a tough conversation there. Who would you pick out of that group? Brandon Graham is not better than Lane, Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelsey, or Fletcher. I'm not talking about popular. I'm talking about the best player in the last 25 years. Hey, by the way, it's a tough list. And if you're on this list, once again, it's not disrespect. Okay, it's not disrespect. Yeah, here, Brian says 20's already in the Hall of Fame. Well, I think Lane, Kelsey, and Fletcher have a shot to be all Hall of Famers themselves in their due time, when their time clock hits 5 years after their retirement. So I think you're going to be talking about guys that are going to be in Canton. Okay? The best player in the last 25 years for me. Now, do you take accomplishments and play? Well, if you do that, that's Lane Johnson. Hall of Fame future player, 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins, 6-time Pro Bowler, and a surefire shot at Canton. Isn't Lane Johnson the best player in the last 25 years? I would have to say Lane Johnson's the best player the Eagles have had in the last 25 years. By the way, it's a tremendous list. Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Lane Johnson. Zero sacks in a 2-year stretch. I mean, Dawkins, Philly's got Dawkins. Now, Philly. By the way, Philly, are you good for tomorrow at 1:30 your time? If you are, let me know. Let me go here. Oh, I got to do this to Philly. I'm going to do this little exercise to Philly 500 here in a minute. How about this one, Philly? You got a guy who went to 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 of them. Okay? But Lane's gone to 3 Super Bowls, been the preeminent right tackle in pro football, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer potentially. His accomplishments in his play, hasn't given up a sack in 2 years. So Dawkins, or let's get it down to Dawkins and Lane. Okay? What do you think? Philly's got Brian Dawkins. Who do you got in the last 25 years, Dawkins or Lane Johnson, as the best player in the last 25 years of Philadelphia Eagle play? What do you got? Dawkins was a key cog Jim Johnson's D for 13 years, equivalent to Cooper DeJean right now. There's no disrespect here. All these guys are great players. Nobody's disrespecting. I mean, no disrespect, but 65 is the right tackle. I know. Dawkins, because the safety position changed the way they used him. Okay? 20. How many safeties in the last 25 years were better than Dawkins? The guy in Baltimore was. There's no argument, too. The greatest safety ever to play played in Baltimore. And by the way, no disrespect, Dawkins is a spectacular player, too. No, Ed, that's right. One guy. I think he's better than Palomalo. Rather, he changed the safety position. Okay? Bob Sanders was a really good ball player, but he's not in that league with those dudes. He's just not. So I'm going to do this little exercise to Philly. He was with us early in the program here. So let's do this with him. Hey, Philly. Let's do the exercise with him. Let's see how he goes down this line. Philly, what do you make of the quarterback of Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy? What do you make of those guys? You think they were good quarterbacks? Do you think they were below average quarterbacks? Or do you think they were above average and they were really good? What do you make of those two quarterbacks? What do you make of those two quarterbacks? Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. By the way, Purdy just got a $51 million deal. Ed Reed's just a phenomenal player. Okay? Then the Bengals draft pick went back to college. He can't. This is not the NBA. Okay. So you see what Philly 500 saying here about Brock Purdy? Now I want you to listen to what I'm saying here. Slightly above average. They can't win the big game yet. Okay. So they can't win the big game. Slightly above average. So then you agree, though, Philly, that those quarterbacks were on teams that, quite frankly, they were average quarterbacks, in your opinion, and that you can get to a Super Bowl with an average quarterback then with what you're saying here. Is that right? Because they were on great teams. Both got the Super Bowls. I'm not talking about winning it. I'm talking about getting to the game. In your opinion, you can get to a Super Bowl with an average quarterback. You don't have to have an elite quarterback to get to the game. Is that right? Okay. So you don't have to be elite of a quarterback. And it's been proven to get to that game. Okay. Well, then I would turn around and say this to you. Okay? When you're a great quarterback and you're not on a great team, how do you take one metric and go, well, the guy's a great football player. He's on a bad football team. And you hold the fact that he's on a bad team against them. How can you go down that lane and say that? Like, look at, like I said about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's in the worst organization in football. I can't believe they win 9 games. Joe Burrow hasn't won a Super Bowl. Well, the Bengals are not winning a Super Bowl. They're just not a good organization. But the guy's so fucking good, he carried them to one. Again, that's not my point. He threw the ball 8 times and won a playoff game. Okay, he's below average. By the way, this ain't for you, dude. I'm talking to Philly here. you've got to take it in context for sure. But there's one more angle of all this. It's not one or the other. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you're meaning. You just said that he was an average quarterback, and an average quarterback was on a football team that played really 5 quarters of football against Kansas City. So your point is that you can be average and get to the game if you're on a great roster. Yes or no? You just said that. That is context. That is the context. Again, if you guys think this was supposed to land on Hurts, it's not. It's landing on that list of 9 quarterbacks they took. When you're evaluating that position, it's not. I'm not talking about fucking Jalen Hurts. I'm talking about the list of 9 or 10 quarterbacks that they had on that list. You first got to start how good the team is, not how good the player is. It's irrelevant on how good the player is, whether he's below average or above average. How good's the team he's on? But you also get quarterbacks who are underachievers, who then have to have the excuse of it's being everyone else. I'm not saying it's landing on Hurts. But Philly, that's not an excuse if an organization doesn't build a team around the guy and they don't go to the Super Bowl and win it. That's not on the quarterback. That's on the organization letting them down by not building a good enough roster, like Philly or Baltimore or any of these other teams. If you don't have an organization building teams, no matter how good you are, you're not going to that game. It's about the roster, not the talent of the quarterback. You just said it. If that quarterback is not like these 9 guys here, once again, this is not really, this is more about the conversation about this list that came out yesterday by Jeremy Fowler. And immediately the Eagle fans think it's a slap at Hurts, and I don't give a fuck about that combo. I'm talking about, again, and by the way, I don't think it's any disrespect towards Jalen that he's got a good organization and he's on a good team. That's not, again, I've said that from day one. But you can't say a guy that has the number 1 offense is a number 1 seed and was a 2 seed and still loses being let down by the team. Okay, well, I can remember this. There's a lot of quarterbacks. What happened to Peyton Manning's first 8 years in the league? Got beat by Brady every year. You know, remember the conversation, Philly? Manning couldn't win the big one. Manning couldn't win the big one. There was a huge conversation. You look at Justin Herbert, and you see he's been in the league for 2 playoff games, and you criticize the guy in 2 playoff games. Well, go criticize some of those Peyton Manning playoff games. He fucking stunk in those games. How is that an excuse when you're on the Bengals? It's an excuse. What a fucking dumb take. Okay? Jalen Hurts beat Mahomes and the Chiefs. Brady was clutch. Brady was clutch. Do you think Brady was on a pretty good football team? With Belichick building those teams? Great organization for 20 years? Do you think? Again, I'm talking about the list. So wait a minute here. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, who was on a football roster prior to that, hadn't been to an NFC championship game in 25 years. Stafford, Herbert, Goff, Hurts, and Mayfield. Joe Burrow's on the worst roster in the league. and as a top 10 quarterback, you don't think he's got more to overcome being on a poor roster. He's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and what? And what? The 29th ranked defense? The 29th ranked O-line? How's that his fault? You just got through telling me you can get to a Super Bowl with a shitty quarterback. Yes, they had good teams in the moment, big moments. Even when Beatty threw 25 times game, still made clutch throws. Other guys don't. Okay? Fair? Absolutely. Got the game slows down for some. Okay. I agree. Brady had a defensive mastermind for head coach. He sure did. Seals, you're talking like the Eagle roster was so great, but we could put an average. I never said that. You're saying that. You're taking the conclusion of what my conversation is today in assuming that. I never said Kenny Pickett could win a Super Bowl. That is not true. I said Kenny Pickett could probably win some games for you, but he is not winning a Super Bowl. So I'll put that to bed right now. That is not true. And that comment made earlier that that's where that was going is not true. I don't think anybody could go into Philadelphia and do the things right now the way that team is built that Jalen Hurts is doing. I do not think that. That is not where I'm at. That's fucking not where I'm at. So I did stop. What? I'm not even talking about this. You're taking it offensive and assuming that and applying that. That's what you're doing. I have not said any of that nor implied that. You're assuming it because once again, you get defensive. And so you assume it. You think I'm not. I never at any time in this conversation today ever gave or said any negative thing towards Jalen being on a good team. Not one thing. And immediately my point was, again all day, was that a bad quarterback can take a good team to a Super Bowl. And it's proof. Philly 500 just said that Brock Purdy was an average quarterback. All of you said he stunk to below average. I didn't say he could win it. I didn't say he could perform like Hurts. No, didn't even imply that. Brady still had to make throws in the big moment. He had to get in field goal position. The first three were field goals, if you remember correctly. Adam Vinatieri, I think, won 2 of them. People are upset at the list more about 5. Yeah, I think he's 5. Okay? He's 5. I think he's in the top 5. I said that. I think the stuff with 8. But get this. I see where people would pick Herbert over him if you were building a team from scratch. I totally see that. Now, but by the way, just so you know, every one of these guys, let me put this in perspective to you. Okay? I want to show you something here. If you had to redraft this whole list of 10, Patrick Mahomes, number 1 pick. Josh Allen would be a number 1 pick. Joe Burrow, number 1 pick. He was. Lamar, number 1 pick. He was the 32nd pick. Jaden Daniels, the number 1 pick. Stafford would be a number 1 pick. Herbert would be a number 1 pick. Goff would be a number 1 pick. He was. Hurts would be a number 1 pick. Mayfield would be a number 1 pick. Every one of these guys, if you redrafted them, were right where they were drafted, or they would be elevated to the top of the draft. Every one of these players. Mahomes was the 12th player taken or 14th, I forget. Allen was the 10th or 9th. Burrow was 1. Daniels was 2. Stafford was 1 overall. Herbert, I forget where he went. Golf was 1. Mayfield was 1. Every one of those guys would be number 1 overall. How many average quarterbacks in history have gone to 2 bowls and at least win 1? I didn't call Jalen Hurts average. Do you think Jim Plunkett winning 2 Super Bowls? He was average. Jim Plunkett was an average quarterback. He won 2 of them. Kurt Warner was an undrafted free agent. He won 1 and went to 2. Go down the list. Kurt Warner wasn't drafted. He was undrafted. So he was thought of being an average quarterback. Less than average. Wasn't even drafted. Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer. You asked me, a guy was, let's see, did you ask who was drafted? Okay. Well, Kurt Warner was cut 5 times. He was cut 5 times. Played in the World League. Played in the Arena League. Played in the Arena League before he got his opportunity. But we don't rate guys on draft status. We rate guys on what he does in the NFL. Correct. And again, once again, like I said, these players here are all victims or benefactors to where they're drafted. Lamar Jackson has been drafted in a great position. There's no excuses. Of all these guys on this list, the guy that has no excuses any longer is Lamar Jackson. He's a fabulous talent. He's a great talent. Could be one of the greatest talents ever to play the game. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't have a great organization, great general manager, a great owner, a great head football coach, all of that, and not win. You just can't. Burrow, I can't believe he does what he does because of the shitty football team he's on and the owner who does a zipper on his wallet. Mahomes is in a great environment right now. Okay? I think he was Native American, Bruce, if I'm not mistaken. So Warner is a Hall of Famer. He wasn't an average quarterback. Again, he was thought of being average when he came out of college. Less than average. And in the right situation, with a great team, he excelled. I think you made my point here with Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was never in a good situation. He wasn't drafted, was cut 5 times. He gets put around that Rams team that has that great talent, the greatest show on turf, with the running back and the 2 receivers and the O-line with Orlando Pace and the defense that would win a Super Bowl. A quarterback ends up going and becoming a Hall of Fame player because he was put in the right situation. Thank you, Philly. Prior to that, he was cut 5 times. He was cut 5 times. But that's well, Hurts was a second rounder, and it's a little bit. But people forgot that after Brady won 3 or 4 Super Bowls. You know what? I'll take that back. Everyone always thought Peyton Manning was better. You're right. Okay? And he was cut 5 times because he wasn't in the right environment, on the right team. If he's such a great, accurate passer, Philly, you're answering my question of the day here. If he was one of the greatest accurate passers of all time, how was he cut 5 times? How was he not drafted? He got put in a good environment on a good football team, and he became a Hall of Famer, right? You're right. Being on a good team, having good coaching is my point. Correct. Kurt Warner's a prime example of that. That's right. They're right there. I disagree with that. I thought he was pretty good at OU. I think you're wrong. Okay? I think you're wrong. I thought Jalen was pretty damn good at Oklahoma. He went to teams that got it wrong. Correct. Yes. That's right. Teams get it wrong all the time. No question. A tremendous asset of his. Absolutely true. Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So we'll see if we can get our boy Mark Holmes on tomorrow for the Royal Rumble that Philly just consistently just keeps annihilating. It's what happens when you're the champ, right, bro? The champ. But pretty soon, man. Tomorrow we got 7 days till they're on the field. Thank you, brother. You're wonderful, man. We appreciate you so much. Philly's great. Make sure you check out his podcast, dude. The guy kills it. He was second in the Heisman. That's right. He was second in. That's right. I had Jalen in my. I had Jalen Hurts in my top 3 when I voted, because I vote for the Heisman. And I had him in my top 3. I did. I forgot that. I voted for Johnny Manziel, actually, too. I did. Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys 100%. Please do me a favor and hit that like button. Philly 500 and hopefully Mark Holmes tomorrow. We will be getting closer and closer. 6 teams reported to camp today. Incredible. Guys, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Please hit that like button. Big Z, Joe, we appreciate it. 2 to 6 tomorrow. We'll see you on the flip side.